phone was at Pearlie that night.
Oh, he did?
He did.
What is it, find your phone?
Good evening and welcome to the Georgetown School Committee meeting of Thursday, March 10th, 2016. If you could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I know, that's what's happening.
Okay,
That's not right.
we do have a consent agenda that we need to approve, so I will make a motion to approve safety minutes of February 11th, 2016, and acceptance of warrants 36P16 and 37V16.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, we have our student rep here this evening, and it's Ashley Hoban. Thank you for coming and updating us on how things are going at the high school.
Alright, so basketball team just ended their season. It was a hard loss, but it was a good season. It was did pretty well the whole time.
Are you on the team?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. You
Thank
guys
you.
did do a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun to
Really
watch them.
far. Right, you did. You did
Yeah.
a great job.
The last game was hard, but
But that way, we have to admit, that was a really good team, right?
Yeah, they
I mean,
were.
you know, you guys played your hearts out the whole time. I mean, it just, they were a good team.
they're extremely good. Yeah. What else? Cowlick Free Cancer went extremely well.
That was
We
excellent.
raised over $3,600.
That's great.
So, and it's our first year. So they're
Even
very
with the
excited.
change in dates. it
Yeah.
didn't
It was
It was
amazing.
pretty, it was
people,
pretty
which is
full,
great.
I
Yeah,
thought.
it was really full. Yeah.
Good.
It really
Good.
was
So will
full.
this be a continuing event? You
Yeah,
think,
we
like-
want to do it every year now.
That's
We definitely
great.
want to do that. Yeah.
Okay. Is somebody already lined up for next year to?
Mhm.
Good.
Michaela should be in charge of it next year when
Is that
we do
Michaela
it. So.
Perry?
Yes.
Great. That's good.
What else can we talk about? Play. The play's over, so you
Play is
that's,
over.
but
What
isn't
about
there,
the-
isn't
the
there a play
drama?
coming? Yeah,
How
drama.
did the
There's,
drama,
there's something going on
they-
with drama.
go?
They got into I think the first or the second round,
Right.
and then they got eliminated. So yeah. So they did really good though. I saw them practicing in the auditorium, and it looked really good. They the other schools that did their plays at Drama Fest weren't as good, but still went through over us. So
Oh, really?
it was a hard loss for them.
Yeah,
They're
I bet.
upset.
But it's great that
Concerts
they
are coming up.
participate.
Mhm.
Concerts are coming up. I'm
Yeah.
excited
Yeah,
about
next
that next week, starting next week.
Mhm.
Right, and DECA is,
Tomorrow.
This
Tomorrow.
weekend.
right, so they left
Mhm.
today.
They're
Yes, they
there
did.
tonight, right?
Yep.
Right.
That's where
But
Megan
they left
and
today.
I
Oh, okay,
Right,
good.
yeah.
I wish them luck.
are.
Yes,
That's
I'm
good.
going.
You are gonna go tomorrow?
Yes,
Judge?
Pam and
Good,
I.
that's
Yep.
great. And it's
So-
through Saturday, right? But you're doing just
We're
the
doing
day?
Friday.
Friday, yeah.
Yes.
That's good.
I don't know if do they have competitions on Saturday? I'm not sure.
I'm not completely sure how
I'm
that
not
works.
sure.
Yeah.
I know they are all day on Friday, but
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
it's great. The kids are gonna do very well there. I know they are. They always do.
Mm-hmm.
They do. And it's kind of a lull between sports right now.
Yeah.
Basketball just ended
Basketball
and
just
then.
ended, and sports start up 2 weeks from now.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
So tryouts are
That's
coming
good.
out
Mhm.
soon.
Yeah. Lacrosse and baseball.
Baseball and
This is
softball.
getting to be my favorite time of the year. There's proms and frolics and it's just a fun, there's a lot of things going on in the
Yeah.
spring that are
Yeah.
a lot of fun, a lot of spirit.
Well, and you just had the National Honor Society induction.
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
was the other night.
Yeah. There was a lot. I think there was 30 kids inducted this year. So yeah, that was good.
And thank you for going on behalf of the school committee.
Yes.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was
in the
very
bag.
nice.
Appreciate that. That's
No,
nice,
it
that's a big
was-
honor though, and I know that Rudy does a great job planning that and everything that she does to make that a special night for the families, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's sort of a bittersweet thing for me because I'm seeing these kids walk
Right.
across the stage that I had in the third and fourth grade.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like a flashback to
Right,
the past.
and I'm sure you're not
That's fun.
surprised by any of them.
Not surprised.
No, that's good, that is nice, that's good.
And I know it's not the high school, the middle school, but how was the spelling bee?
Oh,
Oh, the spelling bee was great. That
Yeah.
was.
I
Yeah,
wrote a
thank you for
blog
bringing
about
that
that, yeah, I wrote that, that was very
That
good.
was great, yeah, Pam and I judged the third grade, you had the fourth grade, and I'm not sure who did the fifth grade, but,
Maggie Van Galen was with
Maggie.
me.
Maggie.
And
oh,
Charles
Amanda
Moe.
Lee, right.
Do we know the winners?
Yes, we do, they're on my blog.
Oh,
Yes.
thanks.
They're also
Yeah.
on, I believe,
The Pepper-
Georgetown Parents Facebook.
Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they, I just have to say, those kids, they amaze me. I mean, I remember when I was the president of the PTA running it, and back then, just seeing them get up on that stage in front of so many people, it, to me, is amazing at that age, really, to do that. And just the confidence that they exude, and the manners in which they talk, and the fact that, like, when the kids would get out, other kids would be slapping them on the back, which is really great.
Yes.
There was
Did you
no
ever do it?
giggling,
I did
no.
do it,
Did
yeah.
you do it?
Yeah, it's so fun, and
It
it's,
is
you
fun.
probably remember it, right?
Yeah, I
Like,
do.
it's
Yeah,
so
it's
nerves.
so fun. You're like scared, but like you just stand up there and just like, okay, like I got this.
I got this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun, it was great,
was.
and Michelle Keenan does a phenomenal job.
she
at
does.
that.
Kathy did it too,
Yeah,
yeah.
so thank you for making it bigger and bigger every year, it's a great event. It's the 10th year,
10th year.
right?
Wow.
That's crazy.
10th year.
It was fun. Okay, thank you for coming. Okay, is there anyone here from the public that would like to talk about anything on the agenda? We are going to start off with, our STEM
Yeah.
presentation.
Yeah.
So we have Ms. Marquetti here.
They're
and
waiting
we
for
have-
Christine Fogarty, so
Oh, okay.
could we kinda come
Table
back to
that?
them?
Yeah, of course. Okay, so the next thing would be, why is my agenda like so,
Probably subcommittees, right? I mean,
wow, we're gonna go right to
unless
that?
there's any questions on any of the things that are in the superintendent's information.
Do you guys have any questions about those, the articles? Which I always enjoy reading. Okay, we'll talk about, budget and finance. Oh, maybe we'll talk about that at the end. How about governance?
We haven't met since Carol put the bus survey.
Survey together, yeah.
Yes, and that
That's
is,
what happens tomorrow.
right, that's the deadline for the bus survey. And we were supposed to meet tomorrow, but because of the DECA,
Right.
we postponed, and then we postponed till Monday.
Postponed.
But Monday
Cause
is
there's
the
a banquet,
girls'
so- yeah.
basketball banquet, so we're.
Oh, where is that?
At the high school?
High school, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No,
The boys had a great one at the Chinese
Yeah,
restaurant.
they
How come
did.
you guys do in the high school? Not that
Oh,
high
we
school's
always-
bad, but it's just something different.
Yeah, it's something we do every year. Yeah, we just we get food from Nikki's and we bring it in.
Yeah.
And we just do our rewards in the auditorium. So
Yeah.
it's just like a tradition.
Enjoy that.
Yeah, so at any rate, we are in the process of rescheduling.
Scheduling a meeting.
Okay.
So that's where we're at.
Negotiations?
Negotiations, we have a meeting with GISA coming up Tuesday evening,
Mhm.
6:00.
The 15th? Okay. Public relations, Pam and Michael are here. Safety, we did meet this morning, we had a very productive, as always, meeting. We talked in detail about the crisis manual that is that's in the process right now of being, written. We're about
Updated, yeah.
35% of the way, Hope told us, which is great. They meet, they're doing it now weekly, did she say? They can go from, because
Yeah.
they wanna get, that taken care of. I was happy to hear that Margaret is doing better with the tardy issue over at Pembroke, so that's good. We appreciate all your efforts with that, because I know it can be a difficult time for the teachers when the kids walk in a little late. Buses, it seems that we have bus one that seems to be having, almost at capacity. So we're watching that carefully. What else did we talk about?
Alice training.
Oh, the Alice training, right, April 8th, well, Pearlie had it,
Mhm.
and that went good.
Very well, yeah.
That's great. And then April 8th, we're going to be doing that at the middle high school.
And I did email, the chief today and, Detective Jones and, Officer Raymond. Remember what we talked about, cause one of the things that's gonna come up is, well, okay, so at the middle high school, how are we gonna talk to the children about it, tell the students about it? After the teachers get trained on the 8th, I'm sure the students are gonna be curious. So I just wanted them to be thinking about what ideas they had for how they wanna do that, whether we're gonna do it next year as a training, or maybe in May after MCAS, you know, maybe do a couple of sessions in the auditorium to just give people a little sense of what it
Introductory.
is, a little introductory thing. Because eventually we might wanna, just like we practice, you know, lockdown, we may wanna, you know, practice that at some point. So we just wanna figure out the right way to do it with the students, to train them.
It's a good
Um,
video
Yeah.
that they put
that
out
they
for the
show.
kids,
Yeah,
right?
and that's probably what
In a
they'll.
very kid-friendly manner, but also the
good.
severity of the situation, so it's
Yeah,
it's pretty
so
good.
the chief responded to me and said that he was talking to his, you know, his group of people and that they would, you know, get back to me and then we'd set up something, so that, I followed up on that today.
Okay, that's good. Margaret, did you wanna add
Well,
something?
I think maybe this is a good time to just say that I will be putting in my this week information about the buses and just, you know, letting parents, reminding parents that children should only be riding the bus that their child has a pass for, that children really can't get on another bus, and we don't, you know, allow the play dates. So we will be getting that list of riders, and monitors will be checking that off when kids get on the bus, just to make sure that, you know, again, as we look at the capacity, to make sure that only the kids on that bus should be there.
Right,
So I will put that out in my this week and, you know, ask the, you know,
the parents
teachers
to
also.
respect that, right. And the bus passes, we're gonna add the pictures.
Well, that was
We're
what
hoping for next
they
year.
said that it would really help if we could,
Put the
like, I
bus
know at the
number.
middle high school, like the passes that the kids have that's like their
Their
ID,
ID.
right? So we haven't been doing that with the bus passes, so, you know, perhaps we can figure out a way to do that and actually have the actual bus number on the pass, so I'm gonna talk with Barry
So will they
about
have to
that.
match the photo to, I mean, cause that would take a long time to get the kids
No,
on
I
the bus.
think
Well,
they'll
I
get
think
used to
what
the-
we're doing, what you're gonna
Yeah.
start implementing is the clipboard, you know,
Right.
the individual that walks them out will
Oh,
And
well,
we
make
can
sure
do
that
it
they're the
well
right
because
people.
the children wait in the cafeteria.
right, so they'll be,
Most times, the buses aren't there right away. So they can start lining them up, you know, calling their names and just making sure. And that way also, if kids are there that don't belong on a bus, it gives them time to call parents.
right.
So we can line them up and then have them ready, so when the bus comes, they'll be able to get right on.
Do we think that people who don't have passes are using the bus?
Well, I don't know, and honestly, Cheryl, I don't know if they are huge numbers, but for instance, today, it was an early release, and evidently there was a child on the bus that was going on a play date, but we didn't know that until the last minute. The driver found out. Well, we had to let the child go because here it is, you know, it's the last minute. Both sets of parents are relying on that, and it's too late in the game to really take a child off. So, and other times, you know, we've known a child, they had a bus pass, but they were on another bus because the parent thought, well, if you get a pass, it doesn't really matter what bus it is. So it's hard to know how big a problem, and it may not be a huge problem, it may be a small problem, but even 2 or 3 more kids really,
At this
you know,
point,
Yeah,
really
at this
have
point,
it.
yeah.
Especially on that bus one.
Hmm.
For some, we know there's a child moving that's actually going to start the bus on Monday. And that's when Cindy said, I may have to shift a portion of a street, you know, to another bus because we're gonna be at capacity.
Mm. And it was interesting just talking to Cindy from North Reading Transportation today, and I know 5 buses is small, but when I hear like these other districts like Boxford and Middleton, like Boxford has 11 buses, Topsfield had
7 or 8.
7 or 8, and I just thought it would be comparable to us, so I'm like, wow, we really are small. 5 buses is really a small amount.
And I'm not sure what the survey's gonna say, but I think the survey's gonna say that there's an unmet need. Right?
Yeah, it
Just
will be
how
interesting
big
to
is the
see.
unmet need, you know, have to see.
And we haven't had an opportunity to like see any of it?
No.
You can't, like, as they come in, you can't see?
You know what, Liz?
Yeah, you
Liz,
can.
Liz actually helped create the survey, so that she's the right person to ask.
Yes, you
So-
can see it.
So could you show me how to do that? Show me that tomorrow?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear how that,
like what
Yeah, I
percent,
know,
how
I'd
many
love to
people have
see-
responded?
As the data comes in.
38 right now.
38, so
38
she
as
knows.
of earlier.
Oh, have responded.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So it'd be interesting to see how many.
Are they all from the same hood?
Hmm?
I wonder if they're all from the same neighborhood.
I don't
They're
know.
all but I think one, maybe two are on that first criteria question, that they're within the 1.5.
They have to be.
Yeah, so
Right, although it is open to everybody.
it is, and one, I think one,
Anybody-
maybe
so-
two.
Because
people.
I clicked on
Okay,
it and I
because
could
I-
have taken the survey.
Oh, it's open to
Oh.
everyone,
It- yeah.
but
So
you,
if you hit no, it will still let you go past. Yeah, I got to that first page and
Yeah.
didn't think it would,
Right,
so I didn't bother.
right. Yeah, so I mean, I didn't do it, but I was like, oh, so anybody has access
Mhm.
to the.
but I bet we can
survey.
sort that data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Cause that's really what we need. We need to know who is in that window
Mhm.
and then who's interested.
Right.
So we'll be interested to see what we get.
Okay, later start time, we're gonna talk about that later. Superintendent's evaluation committee?
We have a meeting
25th or
set
something?
up, the 25th.
Yeah, I think it
of
might be
March. We kind of put that on hold with all the budget things
Sure,
going on.
yeah.
But we are meeting on the 25th.
Yeah.
Okay. And Baker Adams, so that's Michael and Pam.
Yep, but Baker Adams, that's moving forward. I think Michael was making some final edits, then that is due to come to you. I bet that'll come to you the next meeting.
Yeah, because the kids will
Have
be,
to have it.
when, that's in April, like mid-April?
Usually,
That they get the,
usually it's in April.
yeah, because we, okay.
We were doing.
Cause
it-
usually we have a
May.
meeting in May.
Mm-hmm,
Right.
okay, that's
So what
good.
is today? So, so we have a meeting on so probably it'll come to you the last meeting of the month, which is the
Okay.
25th.
And I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't really think you're gonna have a lot of.
School building, do you wanna talk about that? I know Pam sent you, sent both of us the updates, but were you
Well, the
listening?
school building committee, met, and I don't have Pam's detailed notes, but, basically, they reviewed both of the projects and where the status is about closing things out. All of the things, remember Pam had identified and other members of the committee had identified that they were worried about are being addressed. Courtney is back, so that,
she
we're
had to
all
be.
very happy about that, cause, you know, she's been great, she follows through on things, she's terrific. The Pembroke contingency money is really down to a very small amount. And there is a list of items that, we would like to see considered. I can tell you, you know, my first priority is cell phone coverage in that building. You know, I was there for both the spelling bee and the, strategic planning last Saturday, and, you know, you just
Yeah,
can't,
no service.
no service, and, you know, in this day and age, that's just not a good situation, so, you know, I'm hoping that there will be some money left and we'll be able to take a look at that as one of the,
I'm looking at her notes, so I don't see the contingency amount.
yeah, it's a very small
Oh.
number,
82.
yeah.
So, okay, yeah, so 82 plus 29K leaving, okay. All right, and
So,
then,
so that list is, you know, they have the list, but I think, you know, the list will need to be, prioritized. At the middle high school, there's a bit more money, but they're trying really hard to stay within that underbid amount and not touch the $1.6 million. So they're in the process again of, they've pretty much done all the spending that they're gonna spend, so now they're looking at where do they need to follow up and make sure everything gets done. So Mike is doing the wall, you know, the new wall. That is gonna happen over April vacation. The committee approved last night a burnishing machine, which is to keep the floors shiny, especially now that we have as many tile floors as we have. And we need to,
Yeah.
maybe the next meeting on the 20-something, whatever it is, 25th, we can go over there beforehand, because you've been wanting a little tour of the spaces that were renovated. And it's actually something that'd be good for you to see it. They also approved the request for technology devices and TVs that we had brought forth for the special education rooms that were either newly created or renovated, which called, for equipment and 60 iPads, so there was gonna be a group of 12 iPads in each space. So there was a total of 60. And that, you know, whatever we do with our one-to-one, that'll actually get us started with our special education classrooms, you know, with those machines, so the kids will have access to them, you know, throughout the day, no matter which one of the rooms they're in. We also, so that was a $42,000, I believe, and they approved that. And then, what is the third thing
The
that they approved? The
technology.
Access points.
Access
Access
points,
points.
which was very important, because now we'll have, wasn't it 72 or it was 70?
We'll have, this year we'll have 63, and with the E-rate money from next year, we'll have the complete set of 73.
There you go, 73. So there should be excellent accessibility, you know, for the wireless.
Yeah, we're trying to get it to match what Pembroke has.
And there was discussion about it, but at the end of the day, everybody said, you know what, that is really important. If you're in this day and age with technology, you really wanna use it, you don't want people coming into the building, students, staff, and visitors, and not having access. So the building, I thought it was very generous of the building committee to fund all 3 of those requests.
Right.
So, these might be the conservation people downstairs. So that, yeah, I think that's probably, unless you have questions, the only thing we're gonna follow up with Rob on looking at that sign.
Yes, we do
We
have
should
to do
get
that.
a date on that.
The, so she mentioned that the gym floor, it has an issue?
Oh, yeah, so apparently, Mike was gonna check it out for me, I didn't notice it, but apparently they pieced together a piece of the floor.
Yeah.
I guess it was, they're describing it's off the playing surface, but sort of near the bleachers, and apparently there's a tiny little,
Like
Peter
a-
Durkee noticed, it's like a little lip, it's not completely flat, so they were going to take a look and see if it needed to be sanded down.
Yeah.
So she did mention that, yeah. And then the other thing they did do is, you know, they are like toward the end of their money, but, since they did do some extensive work in the gym, they asked, some things were brought up about the scoreboard really needs to be replaced, and the 30-second clocks don't really work well, and the intercom or the sound system in there is really antiquated and doesn't work very well. So they asked to get some prices for that. Not that they were promising that they could do it, but they said just get some prices and then we'll take a look at it.
And not to add any more work, but sometimes those bleachers need to be washed out.
Yeah, I spoke to Mike about that. I said
Yeah, just to
that
be
every
wiped
single,
down.
because I noticed that myself, and I did speak to
There's
him about.
gum stuck underneath.
Well, I'll remind him again then, because he told me that he was going to say to the custodians, whoever had overtime, that before they put those bleachers in, they had to wash them down. So if there's a problem there, I'll definitely follow up on that, because I
Yeah.
did talk to him about that. They're not wood.
Yeah. The other thing too is the sound system at the new school, so I know
Yes.
that was brought up.
Yeah, I brought that up.
Because of the
because
spelling bee
terrible,
was
right?
terrible, and then I was right up front, but then the people that I talked to there, that were out back just said it was not good.
It was not good at the strategic planning, either of the times. So we have, Wes, you could
Yeah.
probably speak to this.
I've reached out to the company that installed it, and they're reaching out to the general contractor. They're gonna bring somebody back in to take a look at it, so, that will be addressed.
They've already
It's not
come.
working properly. It's supposed to be all automatic, it's just not doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
They've already come in once, and, or the microphone on the, podium doesn't work, and there's just an incredible amount of feedback.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There was a
it's
hum throughout the whole
So-
spelling bee.
It should never be that hum. That should not
Yeah,
happen.
so that we're gonna pursue that
Yeah,
until they get
good.
that right.
Because that's such a beautiful spot for people to utilize, and if it's
no
not,
question about it.
But it
Yeah,
is one
if
of
it's
those
not gonna
kind
be
of
good, then-
cavernous spaces that if you don't have access to the microphone, you sometimes do, lose the sound in the room. The other thing is the elevator. Remember, we've had this
Yeah, we
conversation
had
about the
issues
elevator?
with the elevator.
So they're still having issues with the elevator, but, I said to Courtney, when I talked to her last time, I said, Courtney, you may just have to, change out that elevator, because, it's a new elevator, it shouldn't be having these kind of problems. So apparently, they've had the elevator company come out again, and Courtney has told them in no uncertain terms in the emails I saw, this is completely unacceptable, and you need a solution to it, and if it needs to be replaced, it needs to be replaced. So I know Courtney is definitely on that, cause this is about the fourth failure of that elevator at least, right?
Yep.
Yes.
At least nobody was in it this time,
Lots
but
of it.
Yeah, that can be scary.
it's not right.
Yeah.
It's, you know, we have other elevators in town, and we have never had this kind of issue with them, so I'm not sure what the problem is, but in a brand new school, none of this should be happening, so that's why
Right, and as long as we're on top of it.
we're trying to be on
Yeah,
top of
and
it.
getting it,
Yeah, we're trying to be on top of it.
okay. Okay, so the best for last would be the budget and finance. So last night we had a meeting, with the finance, committee. And they had an opportunity to look over the binders that we presented to them over the weekend. We had about 20 people, attended,
Yep.
23, and a lot of them were teachers, which I was happy to see that, they took the time to come out. The union president, Joe Patella, and then the vice president, Mike Murphy, was there. They briefly spoke about the impact, of any cuts that would occur. Fincom was, open about the lack of money. So, you guys can chime in whenever you'd like. They talked about the health insurance, which I thought was, I was happy to hear that there is going to be a, hopefully a decrease in the health insurance. So, that would be good news, and $140,000 would come from that. They did take care of our one-time expenses, which wasn't a large amount, it was about $30,000. But we appreciate that, we appreciate them taking care of that. $300,000 in free cash, which usually is used to fund one-time expenses, not operational, and usually used to fund capital expenses. And the snow and ice deficits, I'm happy that we didn't have as much snow
thank
this
goodness.
year, because that really would
That
have put us in an
we would have
even,
been in big
bigger-
Go
trouble.
further.
yeah.
Would have been in big trouble.
But they did say that they were going to reinstate the second grade
Yep,
teacher.
that's coming, yeah.
Yes.
That was a definite.
Yeah, which is
And
very good news.
they were still going to do some work to reinstate the middle high school, some of those points,
Content teachers.
content
I
teachers.
still think it's really crucial to reinstate those positions.
Mhm.
You know, I know they were talking about how we have volunteer firemen, but I still say that, okay, so if you reduce the amount of firemen that you have, and they go to put out a fire, it's gonna take a long time to put out a fire. So you reduce the amount of teachers, it's gonna take that much longer to really educate the kids the way they need to be. And you don't wanna put a volunteer teacher in there. You
Right.
know, so
Right.
I
We
just,
don't,
you know, I just didn't know how to get that point across to them, that it's really, really impacting the kids,
Mhm.
you know? And I don't know, maybe parents need to go to see Fincom
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
discuss with them their, you know, their issues and their needs and their wants in this town.
Yeah, I know, that information was put out to parents, inviting them to send letters to, you know, to you and to the FinCom, and we did receive 2, but,
Right.
you know, it was certainly by no means a,
Right, and it really is, it does go a long way when you take, an opportunity to send us letters, because I read my emails constantly throughout the day, and I respond back, and I know you're so great about that, and, we would have loved to have had a lot more. And I know that parents support the teachers, you know, this town is great when it comes to supporting the kids and supporting the schools. But right now, we are going through a really difficult time, and I don't think the finance committee, I think that they know how important it is. I don't
Yeah.
think that
There
there's
wa- I
one of
didn't-
them that does not
yeah, I didn't think
feel
there
that
was
way,
any.
but
No.
they,
I don't think they appreciate,
Yeah.
you know, the entirety of it all. I just
Right.
don't. You know, I know that they have other
Priorities.
priorities,
Yeah.
but I really believe this is a priority. The schools are the heartbeat of a town.
Right.
Right.
This is our number one priority, is the betterment of our
Mhm.
kids. And you know, they're looking at it perhaps from a different lens, which, you know, we're doing everything we can to educate them on our needs and why we need what we need. And
That's why I think maybe parents need to go and talk to them, you know, and have a different approach from it. I don't know, so. All you viewers out there, go. All three of you.
Right. Right. And I know, you know, last night when we talked, like Jim and Lacey had said, you know, I know, you know, but layoffs happen, but I'm not, when I worked in the private sector, I saw it happen all the time, but to me, it's different when it happens.
There's
Here,
not that domino
with
effect,
the schools.
you know? This
It
is a
it's
domino
different.
effect.
Yeah, so,
Well, the
It-
work
you know,
is so
it-
different, the
Well,
work
it
is so different.
It is.
it could have been worse, you know, the meeting definitely could have been worse in terms of, funding. So,
well,
you know, it certainly wasn't near what we went in, what we asked the superintendent. So we're looking at roughly, you know, $35,000 over the recommended budget that you gave us, which was 2.03.
Unless you get the additional, like, 8405.
Right, and I'm
which
not
is-
gonna count that.
Oh,
you
no, we
know,
can't count on it right now.
Right,
But
so
they-
as of last night, I'm only
Right.
counting the second
That's
grade
right.
teacher as, in addition to the budget. So, we're still looking, you know, at quite an impactful, group of layoffs.
Mhm.
You know, and just, you know, cuts to the program, to the schools. So, you know, it was $177,000 difference.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's
That's
a
a
big
lot.
difference. I don't have to do the math for everybody, but that's a lot. Let me just take a look here. So, I do wanna reiterate the cuts, or the, you know, I wanna go over that again for the public, because sometimes, I have heard people say that they weren't familiar with what would be impacted, and I know we have it out there, but I just wanna take a minute to, again, explain that these will not be restored if we don't get the funding. So it's a fourth grade teacher, our in-school suspension monitor at the middle high school, network technician, a night custodian, 0.5 night custodian, a special education secretary, middle high school paraprofessional, a library assistant, content teachers for small groups at the middle high school, as well as summer hours for the preschool secretary would be cut. So that's quite a big deal. And we both agree, and I'm sure both committees agree, that it's not a spending issue, it's certainly a revenue issue. So, we need to figure out how the town moves forward to figure out where the difference is gonna come. I do think that there is, a plan in place, which is good news. And I do think that the marijuana, medical marijuana plant that's coming is going to help us. I hate to put all our eggs in one basket, we can't do that, we need to figure out other ways. So the town's gonna hire a budget analyst that will look at the town and see, you know, what the town needs to do, when it needs to do it, and move forward, and I think the townspeople will be happy to see that that's being done, but the thing is, she's only gonna, he or she's only gonna tell us what needs to be done, and then we have to have someone go out and actually make sure that it gets done.
Implement it.
Right. So that's gonna be the tough part.
well, and I guess we're also looking at, that chapter 70 funding.
Resolution.
for the-
Right.
Yeah, we're
which-
gonna talk about that
Okay.
tonight, which is great.
Yes, because
Yeah.
by signing, that petition, we are looking to change the formula, which will hopefully bring more money from the state to us, which is what we need.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And there's a lot of, not just school committees, but finance committees, board of selectmen that are willing to sign that, resolution and join the suburban coalition. And Pam's done a great job in reaching out to
Researching,
that
yeah.
individual and making sure that Georgetown is part of that. And the finance committee, we had no problem last night saying,
And Mike's
of
gonna-
They would
course.
sign it, sure.
And
Yeah,
Mike's
and
gonna bring
so-
it to the Board of Selectmen on Monday
Great.
night, so I'm
Yeah.
thinking that they'll probably support it as well.
Right, right, we need that. So, we did leave the meeting disappointed. It was definitely a disappointing night, but I'm hopeful that when we do talk to them again, that, we will be told that the middle high school will have some, added money in there, but it's still not what we need. And we did make that clear last night. We were thankful when they said that they were, they were still looking at that, but we did make it clear that every ounce of money that we're asking for is what we need. And we also explained that the budget didn't even cover the things we need, the other things that we need. So it was a
Like,
very
it's not like the
integrationist.
things that
The maintenance one was, and that was
Those are
really something
big.
they all sounded interested in.
Yeah.
Remember, at one point, Jim said, well, we need to figure that out. So I was optimistic about that too, that there's agreement that we have this beautiful brand-new school and we
And we
really
need
have
to maintain it,
Mhm.
right. And that's for every, that's
That's right.
something that we all need to be proud of and keep it in good shape, because that's what happened at the old Pembroke.
Mhm.
It just wasn't maintained to the level that it should have been, and it could have maybe lasted. I'm glad it didn't, but,
We're in a better place.
Really
yeah, I
wasn't.
mean, it's beautiful.
The old Pembroke was not that old.
No, seventies,
Yeah,
seventies.
70s, yeah.
It wasn't.
But in talking to the contractors, and the OPMs, they said that particular design, the California
Yeah.
open classroom design, that
And the
most of the
courtyards.
time, and most of the time, that when there have been schools that have been demolished, that are that age, it's been during that era.
Hmm.
Because if you look at schools like Pearlie,
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
that stands the test of time, but,
Right.
that California open
epitome of a
design
school.
was a nice idea.
Mhm.
It was an innovation, but
Mhm.
it just was an innovation that just didn't stand the test of time, so.
Especially in New England.
In New England, right, exactly.
So we're not finished with our discussions
No,
with them,
we're not
so
finished.
I just wanna, assure the public that this is something that we're very passionate about, and, any support that the public can give us is really appreciated, because it really does take a village, and we need your help.
Mhm.
So, and I know you all wanna help, so, please feel free to offer that help. Okay,
Do you wanna talk about the calendar, Barbie?
oh, we can talk about the calendar, sure.
Cause there's not much to talk about there.
Yeah,
but-
we talked about that last time a little bit. And we had some dates that were a
Yeah,
little
there were
off.
some asterisks that were in the
Yeah.
wrong places.
Yeah,
So is this an updated one?
it should be all
It should be
corrected.
right behind.
Old business.
Old business.
Yeah, keep going.
You're getting there.
Here, Diane.
There you go. Okay, so, we went through month by month and we, I guess we prettied it up, made it accurate. So school would start for students, on August 29th. Nope, it
Nope,
wouldn't.
Tuesday.
That's a teacher, sorry. It would start on Tuesday, August 30th for students. And then would end, their last day of school would be June 15th, projected last day of school. And the 22nd if we needed to do the additional days. The PD days are noted. I made the change that was suggested by the committee
Oh, good,
in October.
good.
So,
Long weekend.
yeah, so it's it'd be a half day on the 7th. And then, Columbus Day is the 10th.
So where's the 19th?
Yeah, what is the
What's the
19th?
Oh my God, Laura, are you kidding me? How many times? 19th, why is the 19th got a little
It
asterisk?
shouldn't have been.
Oh, we looked at this so many times. So the 19th will be not a half a day. We don't wanna make people crazy.
So we'll change it tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll change it tomorrow before we
Okay, so
post
the
it,
19th,
before
yeah,
we
nothing's
post it.
going on the 19th.
Yeah.
Nothing's going on the 19th.
Okay,
Well, I wouldn't say nothing's going on, but no,
Yeah.
we're not having a half a day on the 19th.
okay.
So take a little
Okay.
scan of it and if there's anything that jumps out
Yeah.
at you, but I think,
Yeah, I'm looking.
other than
what's
that,
this, 20,
yes,
September
Suzanne,
23rd?
keep looking. Oh my God,
What's September
What about the
23rd?
23rd?
Laura,
That doesn't belong
this
to
must
me.
not be the version we looked at. We look at this so many, Laura's got so many versions of this.
Yeah.
So the 23rd should not
Laura's
be.
days off.
No, the 23rd should not be. I think this is what happened, because we went over this, and I think maybe she has two different versions on her
Oh,
calendar.
because there's another 23rd, and maybe that's the one.
No, so
No?
let's just quickly go through this so we make sure we're right. So, we have that 8th, the 8th is a full day, remember, because of the election. So there should not be an asterisk on the 23rd. It doesn't change the number of days, but
right.
we just need to get it right, because we will confuse people if we put it in there. October, we changed the 7th, which you asked for. We're gonna take out the 19th. Columbus Day is the 10th, so that works. Then we go to November, so we have, let's see, the 8th is one of those election days, again, that's a big one. So that one,
Really? What is it?
it's a big one. So the 8th, and then the 11th is Veterans Day.
Okay.
Because we have to do it on the day of, and then a half day, before,
On the 15th.
yeah, half day, 15th is the middle high school conferences, right? And that's also the evening, I believe, for the middle high school. And then the 25th.
Speaking of middle high school conferences, can I just say that
Yeah.
tonight's the middle high school conferences?
And
I know.
Pembroke.
And Pembroke,
Pembroke.
yeah, I
And
don't
it's
know,
a school committee meeting.
yeah, I don't know
I know
how
what they
that
start at
happened.
6, but
Okay,
that's, well,
Um,
let's try not
well,
to
let's-
have that.
let's just look at it right now and make sure that doesn't happen, right? So the 15th is a Tuesday, so that's not gonna be a problem,
Right,
right? So the 23rd is the half day before, Thanksgiving break, and then we're off on Thursday and Friday, all right?
It's gonna hit
So
March.
December, now, Margaret, we might have a problem. So, December 8th,
how do we know
I
that's not
asked
supposed to
about
be
that
included?
before. I
Isn't
think
it?
Laura, I think the school committee are 1st and the 15th.
is that true, Laura?
I don't have anything to go on, so I can't answer.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
You're right.
I think that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's in between.
It's in between?
Yeah, well, it would be if we, but usually
You're gonna
the
have-
school
Yeah, but
committee is the
not
second and the fourth.
necessarily, is it?
Especially
Like,
during budget
it-
time.
Yeah, so
So,
So
I want to, we don't have our school committee meetings laid out for next year.
so Margaret, could it be on the
We
7th?
don't have them.
Because I have questions.
Could it be a Wednesday?
Just, when you have a late night, I think it's just hard for kids and teachers. I mean, they're gonna be out late tonight and then
No.
have 2 full days. I
Oh.
think it's hard.
No, I mean,
Well,
We can, if
I mean, what I'm asking Margaret is, could she do, either December 6th or December 7th, to not, just to avoid the 8th, just so we don't have the conflict. Margaret's point is, that sometimes then, if they're out late in the middle of the week, then they've got 2 full days, as opposed to Cheryl's point the
Well,
last time.
exactly, yeah.
But I guess it could be the 6th.
work around it too, couldn't we?
Well, our school committee meetings are already planned.
Planned.
Already planned.
They
So
are already
It's
planned.
supposed to be the 2nd and the 4th.
generally there.
Thursdays of the month.
Right.
There's sometimes the, vacation
Vacation.
weeks
But in
interfere with
December, that wouldn't
So
happen.
I usually will say which ones do you
Yeah.
want.
And so Thursdays, is that, it's always been Thursday since I've been on the committee, and I know Board of Selectmen is Mondays. Is Thursday, I mean, we've changed it, for a couple of meetings, like to different days. So Thursdays, Laura, are pretty much,
Yeah.
What we need to
It's just
do.
always been that way.
Well, I think that,
Unless we have to adjust.
well, what
I
we've
think
always
if-
done doesn't mean it's
No, no,
necessarily
no.
right.
but if we,
And I don't know if there's something within the town
Yeah, right,
that I don't know about.
but if we move it to the 1st, then you're having 2 in a row.
yeah.
So I
Well,
think
that's
we
the
need to
thing,
leave it the 8th. So, Margaret, can we
Can we
be,
do it can we find out and I'll move that, whatever Thursday you're not meeting?
yeah, so we're thinking they're meeting on the 8th. Because
So-
otherwise, if they meet on the 1st, then they're meeting the 24th, and then the following week, the 1st.
So I'll move it to the 15th.
So you'll move it to the 15th, okay.
Okay.
So we'll take the asterisk away from the 8th, thank you, Margaret, and we'll put an asterisk on the 15th.
Okay.
All right, then we resolve that conflict. Then, the 23rd is a day off, because remember we said that that's, the way we're
Yeah.
doing the holiday.
Yeah.
So, then we have that week. The 2nd, which is Monday, is also how the holiday falls, so that's a day off, we're in January now.
Mhm.
And the only other thing in January is the 16th, which is MLK Day, Martin Luther King Day. Okay, February, February first would be a half-day PD, and then we have the February vacation week. March, here we are again with elementary parent conferences. Well, so we have a half-day PD day on the 8th. That's that little asterisk in the middle. Then we have the parent conferences. Now, that's again on the 16th, so that's gonna be another conflict.
But should that be okay if
That
it's
should be
fine,
okay.
right? The
It should be
23rd.
because it's the first and the fourth.
the second and the fourth?
Second and fourth,
That should be okay.
Oh, sorry, second and fourth, got it, you're right, that should be fine, right, do you agree?
We hope.
Okay, and then April, the half-day on Wednesday, the 5th, and then the Good Friday, is the Friday right before the February break, that usually doesn't
April
happen,
break,
but
yeah.
April break, but it's gonna happen this time. So that's a half-day on the 14th, and then the week. Then we go to May, we have a town election on the 8th, so that's a full-day PD day. And then Memorial Day on the 29th. And then June 15th would be a half-day, final day of school, and then, so it's just those two little asterisks, and then we should be good to go.
Yeah, November just looks like a crazy month.
Every year it does, you know,
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
yep, every year. It's a short month, it seems short every year.
Well, it was interesting when I went to vote, whenever it was.
Yeah.
I was really impressed at how separate the school was from the voting, just in terms of,
Remember what it was like at Pembroke, the old Pembroke?
yes,
Yeah,
just going in the
separate.
door, and
Yeah.
the public really didn't have access to the kids,
Yeah.
Right.
which I thought was great. I know that, like,
they
if the
weren't there
kids,
No, but that's the way
That
we
was-
designed that
right.
on purpose,
Right.
is that the,
Yes.
It's great.
right, just in terms of thinking future
Yeah.
for my idea, is the things that I can see impacted would be pickup time, like if
if the kids
if
came.
the kids were in school on a, say, like, to me, a presidential election is a biggie,
Yes.
and they can't be in school. But if it were a smaller town election, perhaps, and maybe not this calendar year, but maybe for a following year, to think about having that full PD day after the late night conferences. I don't know, I mean, I know it would impact the gym teachers,
It does impact the classroom, right? You're right.
you know, but I felt like, as far as safety for the kids,
Mhm.
that it was pretty safe. Just, no, because I know that's one of the big reasons why we do it.
Yeah.
Why we have the PD on that day. Is
That's
it
true.
something that we could look at down the road?
Oh, I think we can definitely look at it. I know that the town has just always asked us,
Mhm.
you know, just because, like you said, the parking, although there's certainly more parking now than there
Now,
used to
right.
be, but the pickup could still be a little tricky.
Right,
And,
yeah.
you know, the kids, if they're in the cafeteria for the 4 or 5 lunches, they use that bathroom
Okay.
in that foyer, so it might impact in that little middle part of the day. But yeah, we can always, it doesn't have to be all or nothing either, right? So maybe we could, you know, take a look at that. But when we designed the school, we specifically
that.
designed it, not necessarily for elections, but that there could be things going on in the gym, and
that
then
didn't have access.
and even in the cafeteria, those doors can be closed, so that school activity can go on, and there still doesn't need to be
Right.
a lot of interaction if there doesn't want to be.
Yeah, I think it went really smooth though, like you
Very
went outside, like the.
Oh, and Jan McGreen was
Walking in.
like over the moon, like so excited, and she said people came into the building, a lot of people hadn't necessarily seen it, and they were so impressed, and she said the custodians had it set up just perfectly, and, you know, just, she just, you know, was very excited, and couldn't thank us enough for, opening the
Having it
school
there.
up and having it there and supporting them. So Mike and his guys deserve, again, a lot of credit.
So do we, wanna move forward with approving this? When I make the motion, do I have to then stipulate all these changes, Laura?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we've got it in the she's got it in the minutes.
Okay, So with just the start, start of the school year and then the end. So the chair will make a motion to approve the, school calendar for 2016-2017 with a, return date of August 29th for the teachers, August 30th for, that's the thing, do I have to do all the different?
No, I think
the
you
different
you can just say approved as
Everybody goes at different times.
as presented.
Okay, perfect. So the chair will entertain a motion to approve the 2016-2017 calendar, as presented, but I'm sure that people will wanna know it is before Labor Day.
Yes, it is.
Okay, as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
So we'll
looks good.
post this. We'll post this and get it up, because people get anxious if
Yeah,
they
they
don't
do.
know it soon enough.
Yep.
I'll put something on the blog
Yep.
that the calendar's posted, and we'll get it up on the website, so everybody can.
Can you
plan
remind me what the
accordingly.
last day of school is for this year?
The 16th, I believe. Oh, actually, it's the 20th, because
June
It wa-
20th?
It was a Monday, right?
it's a Monday.
Oh, that's right.
Because it's 2
Monday.
days, right?
We had the
It's
2
a
days.
half day on Monday.
It was supposed to be the 16th, and then we have had to
Yeah,
add.
which isn't bad.
No, it's still
20th
not,
is
it's
good.
still not terrible,
20th
right?
is good. Your last day is,
June 1st.
you know that right off
Yeah,
the
the
top.
seniors never mind.
Yeah.
Mrs. Jacobs, you can call as many snow days as you
Oh,
want.
that's right, cause they don't
Wait a
have to make
minute.
it up.
We were so
You were their
excited.
age
We had that
once.
Friday off and then
And then that
Monday off.
Monday, yeah. That's funny.
Oh, yeah, they're
And then
funny
you
how
had
they
a-
school. Oh, Mrs.
So you
Jacobs,
had a
snow
short-
day
2 short
tomorrow.
weeks and then a vacation.
It was,
funny.
yeah, it was, it's crazy.
So, I guess Christine is not going to be able to make it, so Julie can
Oh, okay.
go now. If
Yeah,
you're-
if you don't mind, sure.
She and Liz are gonna come on up.
So you stayed for the whole meeting and you didn't necessarily have to. But we're
Okay.
glad you
Liz was
did.
there last night too. She said she learned a lot.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, thank you for coming over.
You're
last night.
welcome. We timed out. Timed out. We timed out.
Sometimes we do too.
Checked out.
Which is this is the,
Oh, we did.
Hey.
So we thought we would start tonight with the awesome presentation that Liz put together for the school, and I know you were interested in talking about the Why Georgetown piece.
Yeah, well, we actually, as you know, have a public relations subcommittee, and one of the things that we've been talking about is public relations and how can we market. And one of the things we do notice sometimes is that we have, as we've noticed in our enrollment, we sometimes have a drop-off, in the high school years, and we really can't understand that, because we think we have an excellent high school. We do understand that sometimes people do want something different for their children, and we respect that, and sometimes vocational programs are a good fit for certain students, and there should be room for everything. But we wanna make sure that people aren't not choosing Georgetown because they don't really know what we offer, or, are just not, we're just not doing enough to sort of get the word out. So we mentioned it to Liz, and, because in the business department, they're always talking about marketing and doing lots of things, and so, Liz and her students said, yeah, we'll put something together, and it was shown, I think, for the first time at the eighth
grade parent night.
At eighth grade parent night. So we actually did a parent night for eighth graders earlier this year than we typically do. And the whole focus of it was exactly this: why Georgetown? What do we have to offer? Then I think this spring they have another session where you go and you actually learn about the schedule and the sort of the brass tacks kind of stuff. But this was really more of a, marketing kind of tool. So Liz did this and with her kids, and why don't you have a chance to see it?
So we put it together with the group of kids. There's no volume, so I'll just try to.
Oh, there's no volume?
No, not right now, because we pulled it off of the website. But I just wanted to say the students that helped me put together the core of them, they're all at DECA this weekend. So they're all there, which is
They would have
why.
loved to come, but-
Yes. So, but on top of that core group of students that helped me put this together, all of my classes looked at it, edited it, offered suggestions, said, why don't we include this? So it was really like a huge involvement from the students. So we really wanted to try to take everybody through the year, as far as when you come into school, into the high school, how all of the things that we offer really tie to our high expectations for learning. So this is showcasing the work we do freshman year in the creativity showcase and how that ties to all of our values within our mission statement.
Yeah, that was an excellent night. We did a great job that night.
Thank
I
you.
had fun looking at all the kids' ideas.
Yes.
Look at Peter and Guy. They got those Cheshire cat grins.
Yeah. So, I mean, the presentation is on the high school website, so people can go through, because it is quite lengthy. So,
Yeah, we won't take up the whole 15 minutes.
So
We can
there's
write
a
this,
music
but-
behind it?
yeah, there is. Yep. Yep. So it takes through graduation rate. It goes through different course level offerings. What is the expectation at the AP level? Honors, college prep. Showcases our SAT scores, our amazing AP scores, what we offer as far as AP course offerings, how we compare to other, towns surrounding us.
I mean, every single one of these is such a huge achievement. It's like it goes by so quickly when you look at it on the video, but each piece is huge in and of itself.
Yeah, I mean, even though we all know
We know
all
this.
those ones
This
that
is
you
what we
came up,
live.
but still, I'm like, wow, I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
I forgot about
I
that.
like the graphic.
But it's just getting people to go and look at it.
Right. And right.
Right?
We know it, but I don't know how other people know it.
Yes.
Right.
on
exactly.
this
Yes.
Right.
quickly.
Yep.
Okay, you're on that, Kathy.
So we highlighted the 21st century learning, and how we're utilizing innovation. And we really tried to get into different classes, outside of my classroom to say, here are all these other content areas that are currently using technology. And we really, the kids were thoughtful as far as the pictures that they snapped, for this presentation. So they really wanted to try to capture the excitement and the engagement and the thought. That's one of my favorite
I like that
pictures
one.
within the presentation. They really wanted to try to capture a little bit of everybody within this presentation.
So maybe what we could do is put it on the front page of
Well,
the
I
district
think we should put,
website.
that's what I was gonna do. I wrote on myself a note that after we did this, to post this on the
Yeah,
website.
yeah.
Do a blog on it.
Website now?
It is. It's
Yes.
right on. If you go to the high school, you'll see it in the upper right-hand corner. But
So there's a link to it, Liz, on the upper corner?
Yeah, it's just a YouTube link, so they can just click. It will direct them right out to
Says
the video.
why
within,
why
yep,
It's really well done.
yep. Thank you.
So, and at one point, Liz and I chatted about, having some testimonials for kids, from kids that might be in it, because I think at the end, don't you do something with
We
with
did.
the kids? You do something.
We did a we are Georgetown
are, yeah.
statement.
It was good, yeah.
because we talked about if statements in class, and they wanted to pull that into this, which I thought was wonderful. So they captured a bunch of kids, and one of the students created a banner that says Georgetown.
Yeah.
And we captured a bunch of different groups of kids,
Yeah.
and it's pretty much we are Georgetown, Georgetown, Georgetown. So that's how it ends.
Yeah.
Which we loved. So we take through some of the elective options, here, and those kids in those various classes.
so that could even be something else that we pull out separately.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah.
and put
Yep.
somewhere.
Yeah, and the next level, the layer, will be to add in
Yeah, some testimony.
those
yeah,
graduates, year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years out of Georgetown High
Right,
School,
what are
and
you
really
doing
how
now?
did their
Right.
education here prepare them
Because
for
they
the future?
always tell me that, whenever they come home from, oh, Mrs. Jacobs, I'm so prepared. My first couple of classes were really easy because, I had so-and-so for such and such. They all say the same thing. It's not just a couple of kids.
Right.
Right.
They all talk about it. So
Right.
it would be really great to get some of that, capture some of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But but this is really good, Liz, cause it really does tie into the whole, you get a feel for the whole school.
We could probably pause now, so we'll go through.
Pam would be very happy to see this, because this was something Pam's been talking about for a long time.
And this is just the beginning of this. You know, I tried to design it so that it was easy to add to. You know, that this is just, you know, and the pictures can be updated every year. That was important, you know,
Yeah.
for one of the
Yes.
students made the point, okay, well, next year we should incorporate this year's pictures and so on and so forth, so.
We should grab some of these pictures. Remember, we were talking about having a little more real estate on the front page with actual pictures?
Yep.
You know, when I said there's a million pictures around, where can we
So
get
many
some?
great
And this is,
pictures. I know, it's like
where
every
we
great
Yeah.
picture.
The yearbook, for myself for the middle school and then Martha Dodge for the high school, we're two good people to get pictures from,
you
because
go.
we have all of the Hochmeyer, these are all Hochmeyer photos that you're seeing now. So these are all photos that have been taken from a professional photographer, that went and took the candid shots, you know, of these events, so.
So, you know, we were thinking that, you know, in the panel, that one of the side panels, we could have, you know, not the front, cause it takes up a lot of real estate in the front, we want the ongoing, we want the ongoing feed.
Yep.
But on one of the side panels, maybe at the top, we could have like a little place for, and we just run the pictures through.
I did attach this that we could do.
Yeah, because some of these are from last year, because we created this in August and the beginning of September, really.
When you had
So,
kids.
fall pictures, Ashley, when were those taken? Those were taken after the fact, or right around when this was created. Mhm.
We had talked about getting that, doing a TV show. Remember
Yeah.
you were
Well, I
saying
still-
Spotlight
I
on
still want-
Georgetown and speaking to seniors, you know, that could, could give us an overview of what they felt, and then asking kids that came back after that first year to let us know, and I do think that that's something we should still,
Well,
Think about doing.
I got a plan B on that.
Yeah.
Because Beverly Enos, and I were chatting the other day, cause she wanted to do something with the winter coaches, so, the basketball coach actually when Maya Spence just went on, yesterday. But she said, oh, I'd love to do like a segment, at least monthly, on the schools. Can I, like, if I call it Spotlight Georgetown Schools or something? She said, what kind of themes could I do? So I thought, well, maybe I can, instead of us necessarily putting together the television show, maybe what we do is we give her the topics, right? And then we let her use the vehicle she already has, which is Spotlight Georgetown, which
Right.
people are used to, and she just focuses once a month on just the schools. So we could, I think, accomplish the same thing. I could get the kids to be part of it.
I
and-
think that's something we really need to
Yeah, so I think
do.
that
It
if
sounds
she,
great.
yeah, if she's already doing it and she's interested in having the schools be
And
part
then
of
that
it.
could be on the website,
Absolutely.
right? And
Any of these things, we were talking about that, you know, we want to put links up there where people, so they don't have to watch the school committee meeting necessarily, but they could know on this, I go to the site, I can just click right on it and watch the meeting, same thing, you know, something spotlights the schools, put it right on the website.
right.
Cause we're trying to drive more people to the site, really.
Well, how is the traffic on the site?
Well, I think we were talking to Mike, we just he hasn't been feeling well, we haven't checked back with him, but he said he could have a tracker on the
We
site.
have a tracker on it.
Oh, we do, do you,
We're tracking now. Yep.
do you know what,
We just started, so I don't know where, I
Yeah.
don't have a baseline figure what we used to have, so,
yeah,
but yeah, it's definitely tracking it.
okay, so we can
We
give
can
our.
tell when the hits are higher, like when you had the snow day, the hits went like,
Oh, like
Oh, yeah.
crazy?
I'm sure.
Yeah, they go to the site,
so, yes, they are going to the site.
yeah, so,
You did a great job getting all the different ages too.
yeah,
You
Yeah.
know, like
that's a good
throughout
one, I
the
like that
whole-
one of Peter.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's what we love the video, and I'm feeling like we can probably break it up in a few different ways.
We could, yeah.
You know, and use it for different pieces. The
Yeah.
piece at the end is so fun
Mhm.
that, you know, that can probably
Yeah,
be
that-
segmented
yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah, because a lot of times some people will watch it for different reasons, some people will
Right.
watch it for 20 minutes, and others will say, I really need to see what I
wanna
need to
see
see
this
in 3
particular-
minutes. Right, so we should probably pick, you know, we'll have a couple of different versions, cause you've got it all here, it's just a matter of cutting and pasting in different versions, right?
Or even on the website where we have the sections for clubs, you can have
Yep,
section
that's a
for
great
clubs
idea.
there,
Yeah.
you know,
You
that-
could create
that
some
might be-
videos
Yeah.
Yeah.
for each thing.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
the kids would be able to do a lot.
The kids are so great, and they really are this happy. I have to say, whenever you see them, this is
They're not in the morning.
maybe not at 7:10. All right, I'll give you that. Maybe not
When
at
we
7:10.
see them.
Great segue.
They're smiling when they get to us.
That's great, I love that.
So we are also here to talk a little about what we're doing for STEM in the schools, and we were hoping to have some of our students who are off at DECA, and we wish them well. So we'll do our best without them. But mainly what we wanted to talk about tonight was how are we offering opportunities for STEM in the schools. And we're doing it in a number of different ways, and I'm assuming that we'll just get better at it as we go. We have a lot of great ideas for the future, what we want to see implemented this year, but also into the upcoming years, and we'll talk a little about that tonight too. So I'm just going to start out by explaining that just this year, in January, and it's even a year later than we anticipated, the new math science standards were adopted. So we went through the iteration of ELA and math, and we've been waiting for science to come. And science was adopted in January, and we have all of the draft frameworks that we're working with at the vertical team level, and we're working with them in our technology vertical team as well, because they really are integrated. And we're finding that there are some definite shifts, but one of the major shifts is how are we going to integrate science and engineering practices K through 12. Typically it's something we think about with older students, but as you can just see here, I just pulled a snapshot out of the frameworks themselves. We're expected to really start to think about that as from kindergarten and beyond. I just pulled 3 through 5 here to give you just a little insight into how in the depth at which they're expecting us to be able to do this type of work with our younger students. And so it's exciting because we're definitely interested and excited about it. It's just thinking about what would that actually look like in the life of a 3rd grader versus the life of a 7th grader, and how do we make sure that, you know, we're building a continuum of those kinds of ideas. So that's the work that will take us probably the entire rest of this year and into next year. Through science and the technology team as well. We'll be very busy with that. But what I did want to show you here was something that has really been identified. When you really look at the standards, if you look across ELA, math, and science, you'll start to see this like evolving language, and it's a commonality in the practices across the disciplines. So what you see in the bottom right-hand corner is, and you probably can't read it if you're watching it on TV, but we'll put it on the website. You'll see the mathematical practices and how they're pretty identical to the science practices, and how ELA is embedded within that too. So when we're asking students to read more complex text, we're asking them to do it not in ELA only, but also in science and in math, and talk about it and write about it. And so when you look at the engineering practices, this comes right out of the science standards, the expectation is that students in K-12 will start to emerge using these practices in their life as they study science. They'll ask questions and define problems, they'll develop and use models, they'll plan and carry out investigations, they'll analyze and interpret data, and you can even see that within the math standards, that kind of shift downward for that. They'll use mathematical computations and thinking, construct explanations, and design solutions. So we do that in 9th grade, and we do that in Camp Invention. So kids are doing it K through 12, but maybe we haven't necessarily built the construct for that through every grade level. So that's what we'll be looking at. Engaging in argument from evidence, that's a skill set. So we'll be talking about how can we make that happen.
What grade would that like really be utilized?
They started-
Number 7.
They start it young. I mean, I'm talking 3rd grade.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously simplified. but
So
it's
so
great.
it's doing experiments with students, and then
then
asking
having
them
them-
to really engage in the discussion about it. And
What did you find out, and how do
yeah.
you know from what?
how do you know that this is the result of your whatever it may
Right,
be.
what you came up, what you
Yeah.
came up with. Wow, that is pretty interesting at that age. I mean, I see it all the time at the middle high school level.
Oh yeah.
But
I
to
think
see
we've
it go
always
down-
thought of it in that world, but now it's really been it's going to be interesting, and we see it in Camp Invention. You can definitely see it in the work that they do, in the different projects that they work on. But it's kind of a lighthearted, you know, it's a different kind of experience. But when you're working on a real problem or something like that in science in 3rd or 4th grade, if you're making simple machines or whatever the case may be, you know, and then having to talk about it, that's a different kind of skill set.
Sure.
So we'll definitely be working on that. And then obtaining, evaluating, and communicating information. So it's looking at a variety of sources, going into the research, trying to figure out how do I pull all of this fact together and then make something out of it. So we definitely start to see like how these things all came together. And when we saw ELA and math come out, we saw some commonalities in language, but then science, I think, really pulled it all together. So we're definitely going to be looking at how can we make sure that we engage these things throughout the different content areas. And when they get into high school, they'll definitely see this across not only just their content areas, but I'm sure into their electives and things like that too. So currently in the schools for STEM, we have a K-12 science vertical team that's been in existence, but we also have a new, I can't believe I didn't put that up there, technology team, so I apologize. We started Camp Invention last year. We're running it again this year. We're very excited about that. We have a middle school science and technology classes, middle high school after school STEM club. We received the competitive creativity and innovation grant that redesigned the 9th grade curriculum, and now we have the 2nd year grant for that to work on implementing that at the middle school level. We have high school electives that Liz is going to talk about a little bit later. And what we're also looking at is developing a partnership with Project Lead the Way to bring in some more science and technology work in grades K through 5. But what we're really looking at is how can we build this K-12, because really what could it potentially evolve into is AP computer science coursework, which is something I'm very interested in doing. So we really are taking a K-12 look at that and trying to determine where would this begin and what would that look like over time. So we're also training our teachers in creativity and innovation, but also in technology as well. We have a lot of tech. Liz did a Google Apps training just recently at the middle high school, and that's going to be done as well at the elementary level on April 8th. So we've done Apple training, so it's happening. It's just there's a lot of moving parts to this for sure. And your training went really well.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I got a lot of good feedback from that. Teachers like, wow, I can really do this. I know where to put my things. So it's been great. So Camp Invention, which I'm sure you've heard us talk about before, we even presented on it earlier in the year.
It's fun.
Yeah, so much fun. And Heidi Began is so great and has so much passion and excitement for it. And she does a great job organizing it. And so we have the next phase 2 coming in for June 27th through July 1st. And the hours are 9 to 3:30. If you go on the school website at Pembroke or on my website, you'll see the link to it. We could even put it on the main page for parents to take a look at. And when you get on the site, it's really great for parents and for educators. And it talks to you a lot about here's what your children will be doing during the day. And here's why it's important to start thinking about these kinds of things. And then what I like is they highlight, what is this really all about? So it's about teaching kids how to become creative problem solvers. They use the same vocabulary that we use in the 9th grade creativity class in Camp Invention. So there is a really consistent message with that and where we know our kids will be going over when they get older. So I think that is awesome. They're not relearning like something they thought they already knew. It's very consistent language.
Can parents sign up for this now?
Right now.
Right now.
Yeah, if you walk into Pembroke, there's a big green banner. Right when you walk in, you'll see it. And I'm sure Heidi has a lot of things planned to get the word out even more. But we do have links on the website. People can call us or email us. Right when you walk in the school, you'll see that, and there's information there for parents as well. It's run by our teachers. We hire our own teachers. Our teaching staff becomes the certified teacher that teaches the course or the camp. So we're not bringing outside people in a sense to work with the kids. We're using Georgetown teachers and I think that's nice and important. And this is a national patent program, so this is really aligned with the National Patent Office. It's really developing students' minds and getting them to innovate and think about what they can be when they grow up.
What's the limit in that class, in the program?
It's a 1-to-8 ratio,
Okay.
but they could go up to 300. I mean, honestly, it could be huge.
Yeah,
It's
last
big.
year was,
Last year we wanted to get 20, and I think we got 35.
Right. So say it was over.
So it was the first time we'd ever even done it, so
Oh,
we were
people,
really
yeah.
excited to get
yeah, and I wonder
make
how
it
many will be
happen.
repeat
I,
kids.
I'm hoping quite a few.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and so based on the number of kids who sign up.
that's the number of
determine how many
teachers.
teachers you need, yeah.
Right. And Heidi's already got people lined up and ready to
Right.
go.
And she
so.
had some great help too with the high school kids.
Oh, the high school kids are great.
Right.
They're so great.
Yeah.
And they
We're
they
having as
get
much fun
community
as we
service
can.
hours. They have a lot of input too.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
they do.
They get community service hours, and they'll even get like a paper that says, you know, they've done XYZ, and it shows leadership. That's really nice.
That's good.
Especially for kids who are looking at getting things in their school records as they're looking to colleges. I mean, it's something to think about. So that is our first step in. This year we did Hour of Code at Pembroke, and do you want to talk a little about some of
Sure.
the things that you learned in your travels?
So, Marianne Fravel and I have attended MassQ together, which is a huge technology educator conference that's put on in the fall every year at Gillette Stadium. And there is hundreds of educators that focus on technology within their schools. And so at MassQ in 2014, we learned about Our Code. And Our Code was launched to promote computer science and to promote and get kids excited about writing code. Because let's face it, it might not always look pretty. And Our Code created their site so that it was pretty and it was fun, and it did have animations that the kids could relate to. So last year Our Code ran off of a Frozen theme, and this year there's Minecraft, there's Angry Birds, so there's always something to connect. I'm sure next year
Star Wars.
well, yeah, Star Wars
Star
is
Wars.
there, so they're always trying to connect the kids on what is trending right now for them. And really it is just to expose them to what computer programming actually is and how do you make things move and how can you develop a game. So we learned about Our Code. Marianne was able to put it together this year at Pembroke. Hopefully it will be something that we'll be able to do K through 12 next year, so that the entire
More
district.
technology, the better.
Exactly. The entire district takes part in
Devices.
exactly in an exciting day where the whole district, English teachers, gym teachers, everybody is getting together and just spending 1 hour of their day just coding. So what has come from Hour of Code, and that took place the first week in December during
Computer science.
National Computer Science Week. So we have Pembroke enrichment opportunities that we offer. I started a class this year at Pembroke. So Marianne Fravel usually does 2 Lego robotics courses, and I added a third because a lot of kids were signing up for them,
Wow.
and there was the demand. And Marianne couldn't do 3 days a week, so she reached out to me to say, hey, we have the need, can you jump on board? So I did, and this last session we actually added another course because there's so many kids that are now excited about this. And we have her coding junior course is kindergartners through 2nd graders, and they're doing Scratch Junior, and they're on the iPads and they're having an absolute blast, and they're writing some pretty good code. And it looks fun to them, and they don't realize really what they're doing. They just know by dragging and dropping these 2 functions together, I'm going to get Elsa to move across the screen 10 steps. So my classes have 3rd through 6th grade, and I have about 35 kids between the 2 sections, which is pretty much at capacity, for me. And hopefully it'll just grow. So what's exciting that came from MassQ is we got our kids exposed to something brand new in a fun, cool way. as a result of that week-long exposure in December, all these new kids, we have about, I would say about 50
Yeah,
new
45 at
yeah,
least,
40,
yeah.
at least 45, if not, 50 new kids signing up for after-school coding.
That's great.
Which is awesome. I encourage you to come by and stop and check it out, because they are just so into it, and it's wonderful to see what they create. So that's what's going on at Pembroke. And then really, how did that continue on? Because like Julie said, we're trying to think and look K through 12. So it translates to, at the middle school, incorporating coding into the Computer 7 and Computer 8 classes. They're doing a little bit of hour code, but they master that a little bit quicker because they understand the math, they understand the angles, so they're able to move a little bit faster through that, degrees of a circle and that kind of thing that can be stumbling blocks to the second graders. So they're using Scratch, which is the next step. And then at the high school in computer programming, thanks to a DEF grant, we have Hopscotch, which is an app that we utilize on the iPads. And then we're using, like I said, Scratch, Khan Academy, MIT App Inventor, and Proto.io in my mobile apps course. So the kids in mobile apps right now are creating apps. A couple of them are creating games. 2 students want to create an app for the school. One is doing, 2 other students are doing an agenda book. So, they're all over the place as far as their ideas, and it's wonderful to see.
You heard me talk about a makerspace.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff that goes on in the makerspace, and this is the kind of excitement that it generates, is that there are just a lot of, you just put the materials there and then
They
give
do
kids
it.
the opportunity to follow something that they're interested in, and there's no limit to what they can do. And you get them a 3D printer, and that
There they
just,
go.
and
Yep.
access to technology.
And
just
there's one boy, I watched him today, and I just watched from a distance, who I have one kid who's wonderful with coding. He wants to go on to computer science in college. And watching, and then there was another student who, this is all brand new to him. And watching him asking Max questions about, how'd you do this? Where can I go to get this? And they're talking, and the excitement between the 2 of them. And these were 2 kids that don't interact much, but then they had this to like bring them together. And it was honestly, it was awesome to sit back and watch.
So I think one of the reasons why I think we're really interested in this is because we know, just from the work that we've done with the Creative Education Foundation, some kind of interesting statistics. And I did put them up here so that you could think about them, and I'll put them on the website. But mainly what we learned was that 65% of students, when they become adults, will hold jobs that don't exist yet in the world. So it is like kind of a jarring statistic when you think about it. And so what we're trying to do is make some determinations about what can we do to help bridge that gap. We do teach all the things that we're supposed to teach as a school system, but what are some other things that we can do to help our kids so that they're able to go into colleges and take some of that more advanced coursework, or even offer it at the high school level, so that when they leave the high school, they can participate in a field or even in a college program that they may not have been able to do before, because they wouldn't have had the exposure. So what we're trying to really think about is maybe like the 4th or 5th bullet. Massachusetts has about 21,000 openings right now in computer science. The average salary for those roles are about $100,000 right out of the gate. And it's higher than the average state salary, $57,000. So we don't expect every single one of our students to, run out the door and become a computer programmer. That is certainly not the case. But we do feel like we have to think about the fact that this is where the future is heading, and how can we ensure that we're giving our students some of that foundational knowledge that we think they're going to need. It's not impacting us yet, but it will impact them as they get older. And so I did put some facts up here for you to think about, but also when we talk about STEM, the T is the technology piece. We always think about the science and the engineering and the math, but we don't always think about the technology, and that is the draw for so many kids, like what Liz was saying, when she's got to triple the classes that are being offered in an after-school program, there is demand there, and young kids are feeling really confident in this, and we want to be able to tap into that.
So we're gonna be bringing forward to you a plan for technology at the high school. And, we're trying to just figure out what the timing of that could look like, and, you know, when we might be able to launch something like that with parents, giving them choices and options. But the goal is to get a device in the hands of every child. And then we actually have that opportunity right now at Pembroke through the devices we have. And we've given the teachers the devices at the middle high school. We've upgraded the computer labs, but they're used for classes. And so, you know, some children bring their own device now, and everybody has a phone these days. But, you know, we'd like to have it be something that is a more formal opportunity for everybody, because we think the educational and instructional opportunities can just grow if everybody has access to their own device. I don't know, do you have an opinion on that, Ashley? I don't know, would you like a device to use for your classes every day, or?
Yeah, it would be a lot easier if we had an iPad or like a little like MacBook every day, just to look up and even type notes. Like everybody loves to type notes because it's just easier and it's faster to do in classrooms. So kids like paperless better than paper.
It is your generation.
Yeah.
Well, you always have it too,
Yeah.
so you don't lose it. You always
Exactly.
another thing. That's really helpful for me.
Backpacks would be a lot lighter, right?
Just
Just
like
like some
one.
of them, it's like, you know, they just have an iPad.
Yeah, definitely.
So we could definitely talk to you a little about the creativity and innovation course that we repurposed in the 9th grade level. Trying to think of the word that she used when we were redesigned, but there was another word. It was better. But
Well, let me ask you, why 9th grade? Why do you think that the 9th grade is where that particular course should be?
Well, go ahead. You can.
I
You're in
think-
the track.
Yeah, I mean, I think historically it was thought that within that course, right, what is the outcome of that course? The students identify a problem that they wanted to solve, and then they create a solution for it in the means of a product, right? So now every child has virtually become an entrepreneur. You know, they've laid the groundwork with their ideas. We always talk about entrepreneurship. Everything starts with an idea. So they had that idea. And then they can infuse and build upon that idea once they get into other business courses, you know, and they can continue building upon that idea there. So having it in as the freshman year,
The foundation.
it's the
Right, so you
foundation
think that's the foundation
of
part
it. So I think
to move
historically, I think that's where and why it fell there.
So some of what I think we're trying to do is to, like you said, prepare kids for, you know, the future, right? So sometimes kids are going to engineering, sometimes kids are math and science fields, right? Obviously, there's English and other subjects as well. But entrepreneurship is one of the fastest growing programs that colleges have to offer. And one of the things we did do is we tapped into George Moker when we first started looking at this, and he met with the business staff. George is the director of entrepreneurship at Suffolk University. So they had been engaged in organizing their courses in a course sequence that built, you know, to a capstone course, you know, in the child's senior year. And so we started talking about something that they were doing there at the college level, which was they have a required intro course in their first year for their first year freshmen in creativity and innovation. So when George came in and worked with the staff, and then they got all excited about it, the agreement that they made was, well, why can't we replicate that here? And look at it in a sequence that builds toward, because it used to be the business classes, we always had a beautiful business class, a beautiful business program, but it was choppy. Wouldn't you agree, Liz? It was, you know, these classes were all sort of individual silos. And the goal was that entrepreneurship needed to take a bigger place than it did in the past as one single course. So in framing it around entrepreneurship and the kind of skills and strategies kids need to know today, we took the creativity on one end and the capstone on the other end, entrepreneurship, and the courses in the middle build. So they connect better now. I would think would you say that's fair to say that that was our job, was to connect, so it it makes more sense. And it's not just the business kids that take creativity, right?
No, it's the entire
No, it's-
freshman.
yeah,
the whole
Yeah, it's
freshman
the
class.
entire
So-
freshman class.
Yeah, so we want creativity to branch into, you know, English and
Right.
social studies and.
And we even want to do more of this in the elementary and middle grades. So one of the goals for the grant that we got for this year was to build it into the middle school, into interdisciplinary work, so that it wasn't just, you know, you
Yeah.
don't get this till you're 14. So that we have the kind of the leeway to do a little lead-in, if you will, to the high school course.
Yep.
So that was a fun and exciting project. We also have the STEM club at the middle high school, and Christine can't be here tonight, but she was so excited when she received $500 from the Mass Cultural Council, and she did some microscope drawings, which I'll show you in a minute. She's been working on the Pringles Challenge, and she'll be working on a remote control car construction in the spring. We'd like to do something with Pembroke as well with this
What's the
group.
Pringles challenge?
The Pringles Challenge was to create a storage container, or kind of something you could mail a Pringles chip in, like a Pringles
without
chip,
breaking it.
One
without
chip.
breaking it.
Without breaking it.
Yeah.
Without, yes.
Really?
And it needed to go somewhere far.
It's like the
Yeah,
egg
it's
drop.
like
The egg
mail
drop.
it,
Right,
yeah,
right.
mail it
The
to
egg drop
California and
in
see
the
if
mail.
the Pringles
That is so
stayed
funny.
intact.
So they
It's really
connected
neat.
with other schools who were doing it, and they would,
That's what you do in a makerspace.
yeah.
Right.
Wow, that's interesting.
So she came up with some really awesome ideas.
So did she do the task?
She did. I wish she was here tonight to talk about it, but
Yeah,
I
we'll
can
have
have
her
her
come
give
back.
you
We'll
some
invite
summary.
Christine
Yeah,
in.
I'll have her
You
give
can
you
have her
some
So her
summary
Pringle didn't break?
information. I don't know if hers did or not.
That
I don't know. She gave it the old college try. I know that.
Than a Pringles chip,
is,
I would
isn't
think,
it?
so.
Well, she's definitely, I just wanted to say, she's definitely a very
Yeah.
excited teacher.
She
My
is.
children both have had the pleasure
Good.
of being her student, and just when she
She's
talks.
such a passion.
And I'm not a huge
for-
science individual, but when I talk to her, I'm like, wow, you even have me so. But she's
Right.
very impressive.
Yeah, she came to the Camp Invention once.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
she's
she-
doing Camp
Yeah.
Invention. She's great.
impressive.
And I think when you see that kind of passion in someone, that it's
Oh, it's contagious.
contagious
Absolutely.
for the kids.
Right.
I mean, it definitely is. We see it. So this is some of the art. Look at how beautiful this art is that she had the students working on with her cultural grant. So she was very proud of that, and I'm sure she will come back and talk a little about what she's been able to do over the course
And
of the
the
year.
A is obviously art.
Arts.
Yes. Yeah, we talked about that. You know, should it be STEAM or STEM, and we're happy to include that. So
Yeah, and an individual at the visioning
Yeah.
on Saturday
Yeah.
mentioned that. She's like, please
Well,
include the A.
Yes.
Yeah, and she
yeah.
was a teacher. She is a teacher,
Yes.
that individual, so that's, I agree.
Yeah.
That A needs to be in there.
So one of the things that we're looking at, just I'll talk to you briefly about where we would like to go, is Project Lead the Way, and we're really taking a look at some of the capacities for that at Pembroke. And so these are just, when you kind of look at the titles, some of the potential offerings for Project Lead the Way courses. They're the coursework is really broken up into elementary, middle, and high school. And I can actually copy some of this work and send it to you. It looks better in color, so I'll have to try to get it colored and sent to you. But basically what they've done is pretty much taken the national science standards, which we're aligned to now with Massachusetts, and broken down coursework K all the way down to K and up through 12th grade. And they do even have pre-K coursework as well. And so what we're finding as we look at this coursework is that it's really very tightly aligned to the new science standards, which we're completely thrilled about. But it is also very interactive. The entire elementary Project Lead the Way program is aligned to the iPad initiative that we have at Pembroke. So everything that the kids can do within this coursework is iPad accessible, which is awesome. And so it would be a nice integration of those things as well. So what we're trying to do is really get our minds wrapped around what is the kind of coursework we would like to see happen at the elementary level. Where do we really need to see that kind of engagement? And then how can we build in the computer science piece? And we're thinking 6th grade is the place for that. As our students get older, you know, they'll go from robotics and automation into computer science. We feel like 5th grade and 6th grade, the kids are a little bit older and they can they can do that type of work. So, but that will also help the middle school with the computer science coursework you have, you know,
It
sectioned
builds
out. or-
sequentially, so.
Right, that's what I was
Right.
gonna say, so then we
Yes.
have, so sixth grade would be that, and then we have ninth grade, that great, creativity and innovation, so the middle school, tell me a little bit.
So the elementary model, or the sixth grade piece, I would say, is the intro to computer science. And then there is specific coursework that you can break up for semesters over grade 7 and grade 8, and it's continual.
Okay,
So it really does continue the entire process, to the point where we could offer 2 APs at the high school level
Wow.
in computer science, which is, most schools don't do that. And I think that we should really start to think about how we can build the framework for that, because just based on all the data that we're looking at and the information that we're coming across, we're finding that we need to expose our kids more, and the way to do that is to really have a K-12 trajectory for it, and offer AP work as well.
So it's kits, so you buy the kit and then you can share the kit. So if we buy one kit for, let's say we buy light and sound, then all the teachers in the first grade can use the light and sound kit, so you don't have to have one for every class of
right.
students. And we already have a donation from a parent matched by a company. We just have to pick which ones we wanna do for this. I sent out an email to the GEF asking if they would be interested in, you know, helping us to fund
Reach
a
that
few
goal.
kits. We're gonna seek some grants to see, and then, you know, maybe that's something the PTA, you know, would help us with as well. And then obviously, we're gonna have to just keep looking for funding sources for it, because the more kits we get, obviously the more comprehensive our program is.
Right.
But Project Lead the Way is a research-based national program. I
oh
mean,
yeah,
a lot
I
of
looked on
schools
their
use it.
website before the meeting.
Yeah, a lot of schools use it, so-
Yeah, it
Yeah,
really
a
is.
lot of schools
A
use
lot
it.
of schools use it.
Right,
So, you know, again, we can tap into what we have for technology, we can tap into what we know the kids need, we can tap into what we already have and how it connects.
Right. What we did find when we talked to the woman who's, you know, kind of the regional organizer of Project Lead the Way, was that the computer science coursework that used to be offered for AP computer science was so challenging and difficult for kids that the students, they were finding they needed to have a precursor to that course. So it's almost like the way we break up our APs in math. So they almost have like an A and a B course. So the 2 APs at the high school level, one is the principles course, and that's like the introduction AP course to the applications, which touches on 10 different computer languages. So it's really a progression of knowledge. It's definitely intense. I'm not gonna lie. But I think that over time, if we really were able to build that in, even starting in the 6th grade level, our kids would be more fluent in that. It's almost like looking at it as a foreign language in a sense.
so and if you did like an AB, like you had said, do the introduction, then the application, would that be, like a semester?
It would be a year.
So that A would be all year,
Mm-hmm.
wow, so it's that much that it would require a whole year
really is. And it's
before
always
they get into the
evolving.
Well, it's
application.
AP
Oh,
really does
AP.
require a year.
Yeah,
It's a whole
wow.
year's worth of
Okay.
coursework, yeah.
So that would
And
be
if
like
not
the
every
junior
child will
year,
do
senior
it,
year.
but-
Sure,
The kids who maybe are looking for that, for a career.
And that's something you would take on?
We don't know who
Oh,
will teach it.
yeah, this is, I think, years from now.
Yeah.
Liz
We
would
want
be
to-
up for it.
Yeah.
Yes, I would.
It's definitely something that we're definitely thinking and looking at that.
2 years?
They know.
Peter is
Project Lead the Way
on
puts a
board
lot
with
of
Project
effort
Lead the
into
Way.
this. It won't be that hard.
I'm on board with that, I was really impressed with it when I
Carol?
looked
No,
at it
it's gonna
before the
take that
meeting.
long?
I'll actually.
No,
send
no, we're
a
gonna, we're
folder over
we're
so you can
starting to
look
bring
at
it in
each
right now.
diseases. Okay.
We're just having to pick the courses because we don't have the money for the kits. So that's why I'm creatively looking
Yeah,
for
so
everybody
just,
who might
how
give
much
us
is-
money.
So what are we looking at, like?
So
It
we're
depends.
looking at about, it does depend, but we're looking at about $2,000, or depending, you know, we could put 5 students in one kit, theoretically, when you look at that, and it could be about $1,000 per 5 if we were gonna do a classroom, but then you could take that kit and move it to another class, so it could work on a rotating
And
basis.
so how many students in a class?
So you could do a class of 25.
25
Okay.
kids.
Right, so you would
You
have to
just have to
get,
rotate
Right.
it around, yeah.
Five
right,
kits.
you have to get 5 kits for that
Right,
grade
so that
level.
would be 5 kits,
Mhm.
Right.
So-
5,000.
Yeah,
It's 1,000, right?
right.
Per.
So it's definitely, it's an investment, you know,
So
just like
this
anything
would be the
else.
kind of thing, if the school choice revolving account was healthy. And, you know, this is also something that Pembroke, you know, we could look at the Pembroke, after-school program, I mean, for some help with that.
Mhm.
But the middle high school doesn't have a revolving account, so, you know, we would have to, you
Figure
know,
out where
look
that-
creatively, but again, that's something you would say, look, we're gonna take X amount of money out of choice for the next 3 years and buy
Or
these kits.
Or the
'Cause it's so,
GEF,
well, that's why
because
we're,
that's what they, you know,
that's
that's
why
their
I-
mission.
Exactly, so that's why I asked, I've spoken to both Holly and, Jill we talked to when we had our last PTA gathering, and she was of course very supportive as well, so, again, even small amounts of money, you know, if you put them together correctly, it's like we do all the time, right, it's putting a
Right.
puzzle together.
Exactly, yeah.
And then there are some grants, these are the kind of things that grants might be interested to fund, cause they're easy, they're clear, you know, it's not amorphous, it's like, okay, we're gonna do this kit, this is how we're gonna implement it, and that's usually more easily funded than something that's less.
Well, didn't the finance committee ask what we had that was a one-time expense?
Yeah, right?
Okay.
There you go.
Could fit that,
Good.
for sure. So overall, we have a lot of work to do in the next year. We're aligning to the science standards, clearly, and we're trying to identify instructional materials for that because, you know, that this isn't just one piece. I should say, this is just one piece of the entire science framework. We're developing a K-12 computer science pathway, so we're gonna take a look at that over the course of the next year. We realized yesterday, as we were kind of sitting down, laying it all out, it's gonna take us the end of this year and all the way to next year to really try to determine what that could look like. We're gonna coordinate and implement the coursework where we can at Pembroke, and then think about the trajectory outward. We'll continue our creativity and innovation work, K-12, and we'll continue to train our teachers in the best ways that we can on all of these capacities. There's so much here. We could be busy for a long time just with this.
Can you just briefly touch on the cybersecurity?
Yeah, which, cybersecurity. So this course is available in 2018 and 2019. It's not out yet. But basically what it is asking students to do is to have students solve problems by understanding and closing the vulnerabilities that students or the society could face with computer behavior. So it could really touch on, it could
Like
touch
credit
on
card, like say the Target big.
credit card
issue.
fraud, it could
Wow,
touch
that's-
on homeland security, it could touch on, it says here, building a cyber infrastructure that moves people in the process of information safely. So it really could touch on even what's happening with Apple right now. You know, there's a lot, it could go in a lot of directions, and I'm sure because they're developing the coursework, they've got a lot of information that they're working out of. But
Yeah, that
it's
sounds really interesting.
yeah, I like that idea of that course a lot. So she said that when she gets more of a solid course description, she would send that off to us, so I can share that with you when we get it. But I have a feeling it will be one of those careers that people go into because there'll be so much demand for it.
There will be.
As time goes on.
I mean, the other thing is we can put out a call to people in town who work for computer companies, cause there are a lot of people that I'm aware of that do that, and, you know, maybe they have matching funds or grants, you know, so I think when we get ready to determine exactly what we want and what we need and how much money we need, then we're gonna look at all the various sources and,
Yeah, you need to tap all the resources
all the
that you can.
resources, that's right.
But
Yeah.
this type of coursework really is interesting to students.
Mhm.
They get
Cool.
very interested in that. It definitely impacts the world that they live in, for sure.
Absolutely.
So I think that would be a great one. So that is what we've been
Yeah,
doing
that's great.
for the course, or
So
will
this
be
is a
doing.
big part was in our strategic plan, do you remember? So that's what we're doing, is trying to feature for you the kinds of things that we are doing. You know, rather than give you a paper update of exactly what we're doing, we might as well have people come on in and people that are really doing the work. Liz, thank you for making the time to come. It's always helpful to have
very
you.
much.
And continue to bring people forward.
Yeah, that's great.
Thanks, and I'll
Thanks,
send one of
Julie.
these
Yeah, I'd love
over.
to see that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Thank
Liz.
you.
Thanks again.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, Ashley. Yeah, very cool. When you see the kids doing it, it's like, blows your mind.
Yeah,
I know. I know, the kids today are lucky, yeah.
Okay, new business, we're gonna talk about preschool tuition policy.
Margaret, you wanna come on up and talk
Yeah,
about
I'd
the
love
preschool tuition?
I didn't take as much time on that as I should have, because I took more time on the other stuff.
Right, so we
talked about this briefly in governance.
We did.
We did. And what we decided was, you know, the word policy is kind of, you know, often used in broad ways. So when we were looking at it, we're like, well, it's really not a school committee policy. What I want to do when Joan comes back is talk to Joan, because we have been talking about developing a more broad-based policy around fees and procedures for collecting fees and that kind of thing. We don't have anything like that right now, because we do collect fees for a number of things. In the meantime, Margaret had this time sensitivity situation, whereby, you know, she had her preschool lottery the other day, so we had a lot of people come for that and did their lottery, but we wanted to be able
Was
to.
that, did that go well?
Yeah.
Everybody
I
thought
thought that-
Very well. In
Good.
fact, we see this cycle of, some years, there's a lot of young children, and then there's olders, and they move on, and then we have this plethora of spaces. And this year, we had probably about, again, we had 50 children move on, but many children staying. So
We had some openings
we almost
left.
filled the lottery.
But I know there was just a little bit, the only unmet need, and it wasn't a big one, was Monday, Wednesday, and Friday half-days. There were like 4 families that signed up for that on the wait list,
Right, right.
on the
Yeah.
wait list.
They got spots, but they preferred something
Something
else.
else.
So they signed up, but then put their name on a wait list.
Right.
So it's almost full. So then we did open it up to the district, and then we'll open it up to non-Georgetown families.
Yeah, but the poor people, they sit there and, you know, we pick out their names out of the basket, and, you know, they're sitting there, and you can see, like, the first couple people are like so excited, and then the poor people at the end, you know, they're like, oh, but they all were able to
Yeah,
sign up
everyone
for
got
what they wanted, even though they were at the end.
Yeah.
More people were very appreciative and thankful that, you know, they think it's the fairest way to do it.
It definitely is, yeah.
I can't remember who I was talking to, but they were saying that the Pearly Preschool was the best place they had sent their children.
Oh, that's nice.
And they were really raving about it.
Did your children not go there?
No.
With
Amanda's.
We went to Kids Camp because we
Oh,
were
you
right
were right
across
there.
the street.
Right.
Amanda's
Walk
doing
there.
a really nice job, Margaret's overseeing it, and,
I can't remember who it was. I
the
mean, how
teachers
she
that we've hired are all doing a great job.
Well, I mean, we have a very large program. Most
Right.
public schools have like one
Exactly.
preschool teacher.
Right.
That's it.
Well, that's why, because the law would require you to have an integrated preschool.
Right.
So depending on the number of children who would qualify for a program, you have to do a 50-50, or a slightly more typicals, I think, than students with special needs. But Georgetown has always, you know, said, well, if there's a need in the community, then we can try to satisfy more than one, you know, more than one thing. And so they do a great job of offering options.
A lot of options. A lot of
Yeah, meeting the
Take a lot
preschool
of
scene.
kids.
So anyway, so Margaret's put in the packet for you, the flyer, the new flyer, which I see you have.
I like that.
And then this, policy. So as you know, we did have some discussions at an earlier meeting about some balances that were fairly significant. And so Margaret did a little research on, well, what are other programs doing? And, then they sat down and came up with a draft of this policy that was then reviewed. I think we had Michael come in because he was working with us on, he had some questions, as you know, about the preschool enrollment, and he wanted to understand the finances and all of that. So we had him look at it while he was there as well. But if you've had a chance to read through it, maybe Margaret can just talk you through what the big changes are.
Right. Well, I think it is important for families to understand that we rely on the money. You know, we charge a tuition and we pay teacher salaries and we pay, you know, the nurse, we pay things from that money, so. And I think sometimes when people think that it's in the public school, that it's, you know, that it's like a school, that they're not supporting it. But it really is, it's like the business in that we need that money. So when families get behind, and it can be months, it affects us. So it's hard because we are a school, we love children, we want everyone there, so it's hard to walk that line of, you know, you have to pay your bill. So working with Joanne Sherman, who's wonderful, making phone calls and reaching out to families that owe the money. But going forward, we just need to have a clearer policy. And in here, we're giving a week, you know, the bills, the tuition is due the 1st of the month. If it's not paid by the 5th, then we will start tacking on a surcharge. And then, so that a family won't get any more than a month behind. And if that happens, then we are going to have to ask the family to not send the child anymore. So, and then the other issue is the pickup. So again, we know you know, there are always extenuating circumstances why families are late, but when we see, you know, that continuing to happen, that we will have to charge again. when
Is that
children
an
aren't
issue
picked up.
right now? I mean, we know there's extenuating circumstances, but do you have, you know,
There are,
an issue with that?
I think, a few families that, and again, I think if people, it's like the tardy, you know, when you just, you have a policy and you really ask people to live by that. And again, there are reasons, it's not just to be, you know, capricious about it. Then I think people will understand that. So this is the same thing. We just have to get families to understand, we rely on that. It pays our salaries, and so we just have to kind of stick to that.
So if a child is not picked up within 15 minutes of the close of their session, a $10 fee is charged. So when does that, like, you know, it's 3 o'clock.
By
So-
3:15, when teachers are still waiting for a family at 3:15.
Then that $10 fee.
Right.
But like if it's 3:05, so 3:15 is when that $10 starts.
Right.
And then then the child then goes to
And then after
After
that, we'll
school.
take the child to extended day.
the extended
Right.
day. And then
They're
would they
charged for
then
that.
pay for the extended day
Yes.
fee?
Yes,
Hopefully it wouldn't be more than 15 minutes though, I mean,
yeah.
because then,
And again, it's rare, but it happens.
And would they just be assessed on their next bill?
right.
Yes,
Oh, is that what would happen?
Yes.
Yeah.
But they don't get, you don't give statements every month, right?
we
It
don't.
was
This
always
is
this
new.
piece of paper.
Well,
that-
this is new to actually have a contract. We haven't done that before. So this is what families will get, that here's what you agree to. And then we thought it would be nice to include kind of a payment book, so you know, you clip it off. It wouldn't be one page, you know, for families.
It's a good reminder too.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's
So,
like a carpet.
but if they do have a couple of these $10 fees, who's doing that accounting?
Mrs. Sherman, she is the bookkeeper.
Okay.
So we would, I mean, Mrs. Harding would have to let her know.
So would the family get like a slip of paper
we
that
could
says you
remind them,
owe for
yeah.
late fee?
Or an email.
Right, or an
Yeah.
email or
Right.
something.
Kinda like they do
Yeah.
for lunches or.
Is that email is that how they communicate a lot, is email with parents?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and letters and phone call. I mean, Mrs. Sherman reaches out by phone, and I would say by phone is how she does communicate when families are late. And then, but we'll follow up with an email just to reiterate what was discussed, and then by a letter if payment isn't made.
Right, and that has gotten much better, you've been
Yes.
able to.
Well, again, because when you have to say, when you're months behind, sorry, your child can't come back. I mean, we have to, again, we realize that it could be, you know, hard for some families. We're willing to make payment plans, but you have to kind of stick with that.
So there are payment plans available?
Well, if
We
it's
have
a-
made arrangements with a couple families.
Yeah.
Yeah.
as long as they continue to be.
To maintain that,
maintained.
yeah, that's good.
The other thing that's a little different is, you know, they still make the same number of payments, but before what would happen is, so if you miss the payment, then you could get behind quite a bit. And then if you say to them, well, then I'm sorry you can't come back, then you're out the money unless you continue to,
Somebody
you
can
know,
fill that
remind
spot.
them, chase them. So this way, the way it's set up is that there's always an additional a month in advance payment. So if we said, I'm sorry you can't come back, then we still have a month's pay, so that covers our expenses. So we deliberately did that.
And there's a nice new box right outside where tuition checks can go, which is very helpful. I know some people mail them, but
Right.
I know there was some confusion about where to drop the payment and prior to.
Well, there was a tuition box over by where the old extended day door,
Okay.
but that really isn't used anymore, so,
Okay,
Moved it over. yeah.
right.
yes, and that's,
So, I mean, you know, we're planning to do this, but we didn't want you to, we wanted you to be in the loop on it and hear your comments, or if you had any concerns or questions. But I think we'd like to move forward with it so that we now have the new preschool folks coming in and we'll give it to them and, you know.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Okay.
and have you been able to collect some of the back payment?
We've collected some, we're still owed some, but, I would say 2/3 has been collected.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that is good.
It's just a few people now, right?
I'm not sure what you said.
Your phone doesn't understand.
I know. Okay, so I will make a motion to approve the preschool tuition procedure as presented.
So moved?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you. Okay, we also have, this, we wanna talk about the Suburban Coalition, information that was in the packet. So this is a group of people that are spearheading a campaign to, go to the state and have the chapter 70, funds,
Formula
the
adjusted.
formula adjusted so we can get the, you know, appropriate funding that we need. And I'm not sure if this is an updated list. 'Cause I thought there was even more, on here as you look at these. But as you can see, it's not just school committees that are signing on, it's Board of Selectmen and Finance Committee. And last night at the Finance Committee meeting, we did provide that to them and they were more than willing to, move forward with it because they obviously see, like what we do, a concern as to the funding.
Do we know specifically what that formula is?
It's very complicated.
Okay.
And what we know is that the allowances that they have within that complicated formula, like for special education and health insurance, are a small fraction of what the actual costs are. And so this foundation commission that they're referring to in here, made some significant recommendations to increase the funding.
But it wasn't
It
taken into
wasn't
account.
considered in the
And they also lumped us in with the likes of like Linfield, which is a completely different demographic and everything else that it has to
Well, they do
offer.
compare us with Linfield on every,
Right, which
Yeah.
And I don't even know how we can
I don't
change
even-
that.
Yeah.
no, but they use it, you know, there are certain criteria, so, you know, size is one, but they also look at, you know, median income, home
Property.
values. They do have a number of comparative statistics that they use, that they think
But
we're
not
more,
businesses.
they think
because,
we're
I mean,
more
they're-
like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
insane.
But it's interesting to me that they formed this committee to look at this, and then they made the suggestions, you know, specifically in healthcare and special education, and then they didn't take this committee's.
Well, I think it's like anything, it's like the budget and finance subcommittee, I mean, the budget and finance board, they know the need.
Right.
These guys know the need, it's just a question of, but you don't have the funding for it. So I think that's what they're still wrestling with is, you know, I told you the state said they had $1 billion worth of new growth, but they also had $1.5 billion worth of expenses, so that's the challenge. So I think that the urbans have a lot of power. Urbans have a lot of clout and a lot of power because they're big, right? And they take a lot of money. suburbans usually, you know, many times the suburbans feel like they're sort of left to get what's left over and not what they think is their share. So that's why the Suburban Coalition is trying to have a more united voice for groups that have a common goal and objective and feel like they're treated in a similar way.
And so we just have to sign.
So you just have to sign
Or
if
to
you
sign on.
agree.
Yes.
Okay, and then we
And the
get added to
president of
list.
this Suburban Coalition is on the Linfield School Committee.
Oh,
Right,
She is a member of the school committee there.
right, that's Mrs. Presser?
Yes.
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
Dorothy Presser.
So Pam did a great job in reaching
She
out to
did.
her, getting all the
Get it.
appropriate information, then Pam, handed it over to the finance committee last night, and then Board of Selectmen on Monday. And
Yeah,
that
Mike's gonna
information was given to Mike
Yes,
Farrell, he's gonna
yes,
give
Mike
it to
Farrell's
them?
gonna take care of it, yeah.
Okay, so that's good.
great.
So,
We even offered to create a sign-up sheet, a signature sheet for them that was consistent, because what I said today is I'm not sure if there's any power in having us all sign, like,
All in one.
in one spot. So I'm still waiting for a response to that, but you can all sign off on it, and then, again, we can just add on to it and just send it all in one packet.
Right.
And then I think it looks more unified from Georgetown.
Laurie, do you have that?
What, the sign-up sheet?
Yeah.
Should be in the packet.
Yeah, I took it out and had these guys,
Oh,
sign
is that
it.
this? Is that this?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I've
Okay,
got it
good,
right
so
here.
we just
Great.
need to
So
have
we'll
Pam
just
and
get
Michael
Pam and Michael
Okay.
sign it.
to sign it.
Yep.
Okay,
All right.
and do we need to actually take a vote on that?
To have as a
To join the Suburban Coalition? I'm gonna make a motion.
we don't have it as a vote, but you could make
Yeah,
a
let's
vote.
make a motion, okay, so make a motion to, join the Suburban Coalition, what's the left?
Supporting the resolution.
Okay, of the chapter
70
70
resolution.
funding.
Mhm. Perfect.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's great. Okay. Now we're going to, talk about the Start School Later, committee. And Heather, do you wanna come on up?
Sure.
Heather, graciously offered to come and help Suzanne and I, and the superintendent, because you're at, the
Yep.
meetings
We're all
too,
at
so
the
I would
meetings,
like
yep.
to have
And I've been taken off.
some input. I know, and I want to
And Suzanne,
publicly
too.
apologize to Suzanne for not including her in my,
I was a late
oh,
arrival.
yes, you
so
were.
that's fine.
Do you know that every time I write people's names down, I'm like, I'm gonna forget somebody, I know I am, and I was proud of myself that I didn't, and I'm sorry.
That'll be you at the Academy Awards.
Well, have everybody
So-
sign in.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Well, I usually as people come in, I write it down, and I just was doing this off the top of my head. So, the Start School Later committee is comprised of so many dedicated, like, really, each of these members are so dedicated to the research of this, initiative. And we have met monthly since October, November timeframe, and pretty much everybody's come to the meetings, which is great. And so we invited, Heather to join, because we do think that there's definitely a connection. You're the chair of the Health and Wellness, along with, the nurse at the high school, which I would love for you guys to come to the meetings and share your expertise on health and wellness. But I just wanna talk today about the most recent article that's in the Globe today, and then also Fox 25 and Channel 5 both had segments today on the growing number of Massachusetts schools that are looking into this. They highlighted pretty much Newton North. Newton is getting a lot of publicity about this. I don't know who it is in that town that is able to reach out to people, but they have some good marketing. Because every time they're on TV talking about this, Newton is mentioned. They discuss Newton, and then they also discuss Nauset, which is this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
Okay,
cake.
first year teaching, I worked in that district.
Really?
Yes, I worked in
So
Worcester.
it it's comprised of Eastham, Wellfleet, Orleans, and Brewster.
Yep.
And they have 1,000 students
Mhm.
at the, middle high school. And they were the first district in Massachusetts that did it. They did that back in 2012.
Wow.
Yeah. So on the segment today, they just, and in the Boston Globe article, it just basically highlighted the tardiness dropped by 35%, Ds and Fs dropped by half. They ended up having the elementary go to a start time of 7:45, which is similar to what we were looking at in terms of our elementary start times. And I was happy to see that they reported that athletics was supposed to be this big, significant impact, and they said it wasn't much of an impact at all. And the amazing support that they received from the communities that they dealt with, they were more than willing to change the schedules and things like that. And even Biddeford, Maine, their athletic director reported that 95% of the games were rescheduled with not an issue. So those are the big obstacles that, every district is talking about: transportation, so bus transportation, athletics, and then after-school extracurricular activities and the kids working.
And the elementary,
Yeah, families of
elementary kids, right? That made sense.
Yeah, well, the for us it did, yes. And then we also came across recently that there is potentially an issue with the band schedule at Pembroke, which we're looking to meet with the music department to see what we can do about that. So right now, the band, Margaret, if you could just help me understand this. Right now, the band meets in the morning before school?
The lessons are before school,
Okay,
so that would mean.
right, they would have to
7
come
o'clock.
even earlier, right. Well,
Or they'd have to do it after school.
yeah, well, after school is, that's what I was
That would
thinking
be
of.
earlier.
Yeah, I mean, again,
So it
I
actually
think
might even help
that's why
people.
we.
Have to
sorry.
talk.
Yeah, we're gonna talk, that might even
Right.
help people at the end.
Right.
But how many kids are involved in that, roughly? Yeah.
It depends on the instrument, because they come by the instrument.
Well, now there's 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Is that who's involved, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade?
In
That's
the
who
band.
does band?
Right.
Okay, and then it's, is it 45 minutes, or is it a half hour?
Well, the children come around 8 now, so it's about 45 minutes.
Okay,
And when is the band? I just see.
Well, the band happens during the day, remember, that's the whole.
Oh, that's
their,
I know that happens for
for
sixth grade,
that happens during the day.
but what happens for 4th and 5th grade?
Well, 4th and 5th, that's their music.
I know, so, but do they have band? I thought they had band practice. They don't have band practice, just the lessons? We'll have to ask Tyler.
yeah,
He'll
yeah.
tell us all the,
Yeah, so maybe that happens, maybe that's the before school.
I think it's before
And they
school.
don't really practice as a band except kind of before concerts.
Okay.
well, so these are the unique situations that occur in our district, and I was happy to receive that information from a parent, because I don't know that would have been impactful to that program. And of course, this initiative is not to remove any programs, not to dismantle anything. We wanna just, change the, right, just look at the children's start of school as a later time. I did talk to the superintendent in Newburyport, and I was hoping to
you
get a
did?
summary. I talked to her today, and she had said, "Oh, I'm working on that summary, I'll get it to you." And I said, "That would be great, because I'm updating the
Yes.
school committee tonight," but I didn't get it, so I'm sure
Oh,
she's
I'm
very
glad that
busy
you
with her
talked with her.
budgets. But I have reached out to the local communities, so we could see if we can work together, because a lot of other communities are doing that, they're joining forces.
Like Masco.
Yeah,
She was mentioned in the article.
yes, and
Yeah.
I congratulated her for getting her name in there. I'm like, oh, I wish Georgetown was in that Boston Globe article.
So are all of these, Hamilton, Wenham, Masco, are they still in the research process? Or
Well, Hamilton Wenham, I reached out to them and they had said, oh, we would love to work with you on it. So they're now, starting to do that.
Okay, so they're,
So it wasn't something that has been, in the works there. But Masco, they have implemented a committee. They have still not met yet, which I'm surprised, because the committee, it was approved some time ago. So, the committee has not met yet. Triton, I heard back from them, and the superintendent felt that, kids came from too many different areas and that it wouldn't, he didn't feel that it was something that they wanted to look into at this point. Manchester, Essex, and Rockport I have not heard back from, but Suzanne thought she heard tonight on the Channel 5 segment that Rockport was included in that. So we'll take a look and see.
They're studying it, you mean?
Yeah. The most recent, chapter in Massachusetts is Watertown, and when I refer to chapter, it's part of the Start School Later organization, which is what Georgetown has, joined, and we just got a Facebook page, which I think is pretty, pretty good for this, because it really got the communication going and the conversation going, and whether it's, you know,
Or against.
right, we wanna hear everything, we want the conversation to be positive, we want people to know that we're not saying we're gonna do this because we wanna do it, we're saying we're gonna research it, see if it works. We're certainly not gonna address every issue that this could bring up, because certainly it's going to be a pretty big change for people. But what we want people to understand is that with all the research that is going on right now, it is a health issue that we wanna just address. And if it is something that we can do to improve our children's educational, career experience, then I think that that's what, we should do. So,
So how would somebody get access to the Facebook page? Do we know that?
can't people invite other people?
You can invite, but they
So
can do
you
a search.
They
You
can
can
so
do
they
a
could
search.
search for
That's what I got.
Start School Later Georgetown,
Start School Later Georgetown, yep.
and then
You
it'll
have
bring
to-
up the page,
And then they can
and then you
send a
you
request.
can send a friend request.
And then.
Well, but it's an open,
But
you don't have to,
So you don't need a friend request, so you
Yeah.
can just go on and.
it's public, so you just go on, you search it,
Yeah.
you go on, and then what I've done is I've pretty much listed just informational, articles
can
that are
like
out
it
there,
or
research, yep, you can
comment.
like it, and the Georgetown Parents, page, which has, a large number of followers. I guess.
Right.
Getting Twitter and Facebook mixed up, I'm new to Facebook, so I'm not
It does
really
have
sure.
a lot of followers.
It does,
Right,
it does,
so
a lot of postings.
They have, put on there, check out the site, so,
Okay.
and just people that I've mentioned, go on and like it and, spread the
Yeah.
word.
I'll put that on my blog too.
Yeah, so there definitely has been a lot of traffic on it, which I'm happy
Great.
to see, because I do think people need to just be educated about it and not be quick to say, oh, this is gonna, change
Upset,
everything, I can't do it. You really need to just take the time and look it over, and then, keep an open mind to what we're talking about. We did speak to the, teachers' union, the president, the vice president, the superintendent, and I met with them, and there is no issue in terms of, the union, as
Contract.
long as the amount of, the day is not extended, then the hours would not, the contract would need to be reopened for any reason. But it is interesting that the elementary families, did not think that they'd be impacted, and they will be. We're a small district, we share transportation, so it is something that will impact that group of families. We do have our school physician, Dr. Medwed, who I have had several conversations with, and he stands behind the medical research. He does believe that it is something that is beneficial to children to start school after the 8:30 hour. He has graciously offered to attend parent forums and speak to the medical research, which I think is great because I'm sure that will come up, and that's certainly not something I'd be able to address. What else do we wanna talk about? Suzanne,
Well,
anything
you
that
wanna
I'm-
talk about what the proposed schedule might be, right?
Do we want, okay, do we want, okay, the
There's
at
two
the,
options.
at the last meeting, the, proposed schedule, was a start time at the middle high school of 8:40 with a release time of 3:15, but I think that might change to like 3:18 because, we didn't find the 10 minutes, we
Oh,
actually
we did
found.
6?
Oh, 6 minutes, 6
Yeah.
or 7, right.
Right. Mr. Lucia, is that correct? We couldn't get that 10 minutes? I still think we could get 10 minutes.
You get 10 minutes, you take it out of lunch. There's 4
Well,
minutes
but-
between each period. There's six
Heather might have to take
transition
exception to that.
periods. If you can take a minute off that,
Yeah, but then that would be a change with the union.
no.
Oh,
have
but
to have
that's
their-
what they
But they,
do.
they took exception to it when we did this, our current schedule, because we were taking the minute and adding it to the period. And they took exception that you're adding to our instructional time.
Okay,
So this isn't, right? You're just adding it to the end to extend the day. The instruction time remains the same
But do they have a 30-minute duty-free lunch now? Cause that's what the contract calls
currently.
for.
Yep.
So that's what they're saying. So if they
If
have
we
30
changed it to
minutes now, if you
22.
change it
We could
to,
even back it up a little bit.
26.
You know, it doesn't have to be.
that would impact the
Yeah,
cost,
we
the
can back it
contract.
up a little bit.
If you take the 6
Yeah, I
minutes
mean,
from
like, this
passing
is
time, it wouldn't. If you
almost
take it from
perfect.
lunch, it would.
Right, that's the point. So that that's what Barbie's saying, is that we understand the 6 minutes is possible. You're saying the other 4 could come from lunch, and all she's reflecting is when we talked to Joe and Mike, they said that the teachers get 30 minutes for lunch. So if you took it off that and the teachers no longer got 30 minutes, then that would be a contractual impact. Yeah,
okay, so,
so you have 6 minutes, it sounds like, right?
yeah, and we could start it, like Suzanne had just mentioned, instead of 8:40, cause that, for some reason, 3:15, any later than 3:15, I start to get a little anxious myself, so, yeah, so.
So there's
what
an
was it?
8:30 time, you know,
Yeah, to
and
make it
it'd be at
8:30,
3:05, and that
yeah.
seems to be, there's still a little wiggle room to work with the start time and the
Yeah,
end
8:30
time.
to
Right.
3:05
So that's
seems
what-
Yeah,
right.
8:30 seems more realistic.
Right, that was, and the second option was 8:30 to 3:05. But the reason why we were a little, leery with that was that would push Pembroke to a full hour earlier.
getting out.
But you have 1:55 or 1:45, so it's a matter
I
of,
think yeah.
right?
Wasn't it, wouldn't it also be 7:30 start time?
No,
Well, it's 7:45.
7:55 or 7:45?
Well, if you're backing up the high school for transportation, are you gonna have to back that up also?
We were looking into how many students actually ride for high school versus elementary school. We needed to see exactly how long the routes took
Right,
for high school, cause now, you know, if we're going to do that, we just need to know how many students ride on both ends for high school, cause we already know it for the elementary level.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the conflict would be though, because you say if Pembroke came in at 7:45 and got out at 1:45, just,
I thought, but right now, the proposed time is the high school at 8:40.
No,
well,
we're looking at, we
we're
backed it
looking
to
at-
8:30.
We're looking at either option.
I know, but the way it is right now, wasn't that because of transportation in the morning? So if you change it for the high school, you're gonna have to change it for Pembroke.
Right, because right now you come in at 8:45. This would come, you coming in at 7:45.
You come in 8:40.
Okay, so this would have you coming in at 7:45, if they went with the 8:30 to 3:05. So you're trying to find the window of 45 minutes, right? So if you say 7:45, the kids get dropped off at Pembroke, then the buses drop them off there, and then the high school starts at 8:30. So there'd be some time in between there where they wouldn't be necessarily moving the buses. then at the end of the day, they pick up at your school at 1:45, drop all the kids off. So let's say it takes them an hour. Then they're going to the high school for 3 o'clock.
It works.
So it works within the structure of the 45-minute window.
Right, and we have a meeting scheduled with transportation, to make sure that 45 minutes is real, because it could actually end up being 36 minutes, and as you can tell, minutes matter,
Right,
you know, just as.
Right, if you could make the elementary go later,
yeah,
Then
and that's what we need to
Yep,
see, is
yep.
just the exact
Yep.
amount of, time that
Yep.
it takes.
Right,
Well, I
We-
wonder if, like just saying the 7:45, well, or, I mean, because some of those kids are gonna be getting on the bus at 7, potentially, right?
it could, yes,
So, I wonder if less parents are gonna put their kids on the bus because they can't have them ready by then. You know, I wonder if our whole bus thing.
waiting out in the dark.
But
Yeah,
again, like
and
you
that's-
said,
that's an
like you
issue,
said, when we
absolutely.
talk to the bus company, they might say, look, we can start picking the students up at, 10 of 8. It's instead of 7:45, 7:55 and still make it there, or even 8 o'clock and still make it.
Well, but I'm talking about the
The little
Talking about
kids.
Pembroke.
the little kids.
Oh, the
Little
little
kids.
kids.
And
Yep.
that is one of the reasons why we also thought 7:45 was, because we're like, oh, 7
Early,
o'clock
yeah.
pickup, because
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Heather just said, that is one of the things that is concerning, is kids
Right.
being out there in the dark, and in the winter, it's still, at 7 o'clock, it's still,
But you could
Backup.
you could potentially back it up, is what I'm saying, right?
little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
a little bit.
But that 7:55 to me, was, I was more comfortable with that 7:55,
Mhm.
because then it's 7:15, bus pickup, around there.
And even with the 7:55, you still might be able to work within the constraints for the 8:30.
Yes, that's what I think we'd have to ask
Yeah.
for,
I think the issue at the elementary is going to be the dismissal.
the dismissal, right?
That's where, and again, I'm not gonna, I don't know the majority of people's views, but in our school council, that was where the surprise was, what's gonna happen at the end of the day. Because,
Well, and so potentially some kids could be an extended day from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, but then they might not have been in it in the morning.
In the morning.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
Well,
but
they
they're
probably
still,
won't be
but
in
they're
it.
still
Yeah, they probably won't be
starting,
in the morning, but they'll,
But they
They'll
could,
be
you're
more
right, they
towards
could,
the
because
end.
if it's 10 of 8, parents might still have to drop off at 7. Might
Do
have
you
an
have
hour
7
in the
o'clock
morning.
drop-off?
That's what we
Yeah,
have,
they
7
do.
o'clock drop.
You do?
yes, now
Mhm.
it's 7 o'clock, right.
So they might for
even
an hour.
now,
Right.
you may have some kids there from
Mm.
7 AM to 6 PM, even now.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I have always thought that,
I think it's the expense, if I can just say, it, I'm wondering if it's the expense. Parents that may not have to pay as much extended day might have to pay more. I think that might be the issue.
And people who currently don't have to do it because maybe they get out of work at 3 o'clock, because the shifts are, 7 to 3 is a more typical shift than getting out at 2. So we'd have to assess it. We'd have to assess it and see what like we're doing with the buses, what is,
right, we wanna see what the need is,
Yeah.
what the concerns are, we wanna hear that, which is why those parent forums are so important.
Right.
So once we get out there and hold them, I think that's when we're gonna start to see more, but I felt pretty good that once Facebook was up and running, that the only issue that did come up was the band.
Mhm.
mm-hmm.
That was the only thing that has, and I'm sure, there's been, talk and like you had said, at your school council meeting. And I did talk to a woman the other day at the, 8th grade, the incoming freshman, session that we had. A person came up to me and had asked a little bit about it, and she definitely had some concerns, so, I know, we're ready to,
Talk about it.
address them and talk about it, right, and again, we're just looking to see if this is something that could work here, and it's not for the fall. A lot of people
No.
have
Say
felt
that
that
Yeah,
it's
sure.
not for the fall.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a while.
Yeah, so this is definitely a committee that is really gonna take its time. We're not gonna just, say this is what's gonna happen. So we're looking to have it happen in the following, school year if possible. So again, start school later, they have 65 chapters in 23 states, and Newton happens to be a town that isn't even utilizing this particular organization. So there are other districts out there that are researching and that we just may not know about because they don't have they don't actually have a chapter. But Boston is looking into it, and when I read about it today, it does not seem like the superintendent is supportive of it, even to form like a committee to research it. He didn't sound like he was.
But it did
he
sound
was
like
too
some of the
interested.
Boston schools already have different start times. That's what I thought.
Well, there's
Charters
so-
or-
That's
there's
what I
so
thought I
many-
read, yeah. So I,
There are so
you know.
many middle high schools in the city of Boston, like I couldn't even keep track of it, and charter schools too.
Right, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, you know,
Um,
they're probably more apt to have their own.
Different, oh, they
Yeah,
definitely have different
absolutely.
schedules,
Mhm.
definitely. But maybe that's what he was referring to.
Right.
So this
yeah,
would be
that's-
looked at from K to 12, not the preschool? Would they change, I mean, cause they're not involved in buses, or would that change too? I don't know.
I don't think
They're,
so.
they're unaffected
Yeah.
completely, I mean, they're Pearly.
We, they don't, it doesn't involve buses, right, so the
Right,
buses
no
wouldn't
buses.
be.
Same.
Well, although
Families might,
yeah.
parents might.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true.
Parents might drop off their other kids at
Right.
8 and then have to wait till
Wait till-
9.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that gives them
from
free
what-
time with the kid.
Cause I know.
not when they're trying to get to
I
work.
know families right now who drop off at Pembroke and then come right over to
Right.
Pearlie and sit and wait.
Yeah, that's a good point,
Yeah.
Cheryl.
And
I
part
mean,
of
that's
the-
something we have to add to our list
I
of
think
things
part
to
of
think.
the issue, if, again, the hours were established before I came. And because when I was at Pearlie, part of the issue that parents felt was why couldn't pre-K start at the same time? Because even that 20 minutes when, K&1 started and then parents had to wait. But I think it was implemented because of the crowd, the buses and the crowds and the cars.
Mm.
So I think that is a good point, that now if it's
Right.
an hour and 10 or 15 minutes, that will be hard for families. So, I mean, we could
We
talk
can make
about
an
maybe
adjustment.
pushing back
Mm.
pre-K,
right.
pulling it back. I never know which way to say it, start earlier.
That's a
Right.
good.
Well, that's
Yeah,
another thing that
that's a good-
something
we'll put on the
else
list that we're gonna,
ponder.
Good thought.
yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Is our meeting Monday night or the following?
The
It's
following,
Monday.
yeah, it's the
right.
following Monday.
Okay.
So Heather, what can you tell us as far as like being the chair of the health and wellness, what are you thinking about the initiative and?
I'm invested. I think it's a great idea for students at the middle high school age. Adolescents just operate differently. I have a
It's an understatement.
18-year-old sister. She is not a human until at least 9 o'clock. Don't tell her I said that. But
She
She's
wants
probably
that much
watching
time.
right now.
yeah. But I think I mentioned it the last time I presented for the food service department. There's an abundance of research about when adolescents are ready to eat breakfast, and oftentimes it doesn't match the traditional school schedule. And if you don't eat in the morning, you're not prepared to learn, so on and so forth. I always bring it back to food. But I was doing some reading, and I don't know if it's been mentioned at previous discussions about the Start School Later committee. But I was reading something about the melatonin cycle in adolescence. Are you familiar with that at all?
Yes, we've been talking about that because that's pretty much the
Fascinating.
basis of the
Medical
whole.
research, right?
Yeah, that it doesn't actually start producing in an adolescent's brain until 11 at night.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like they're not even able to
Fall asleep
go
even
to
if they
sleep.
wanted
Like you
to.
can send them
After.
up there
Mm-hmm.
to go to bed, but they're just sitting there like, okay, but I'm not ready.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so we've talked about that and Dr. Medwid, the same thing, like the circadian rhythm in the brain and the fact that the younger kids are up
They're ready at
and
crack of
ready,
dawn.
Ready to go.
and ready to go. And the interesting thing is talking to Joe Patella was saying that he can see like in the afternoon those kids are then getting tired because even though they didn't get to school till 8:45, they were already up in plenty of time. So it was interesting to hear him say that because I'm always thinking the kids are raring to go, but then I didn't think that they did get
on
that
the other
Right
end.
on the
Wow.
back end
Yeah.
of it.
right. And then listening to the kids on the news segment tonight that they interviewed in Nauset, they were saying how they didn't wake up until like C block. They said, "Oh, I hope my A and B block teacher aren't
Paying
hearing
attention,
this,"
yeah.
but that's how they felt. And the principal, who's now the superintendent there at Nauset, said that he used to say to the teachers, "Don't show any movies, don't do anything don't shut the lights off," because
They might just
he was afraid the kids were gonna fall asleep.
Yeah.
So to hear him say that, I'm like, wow, that's
And can we get
concerning.
data that shows, you know, what the tardy, amount of,
I thought,
Well, so
I thought,
Heidi
Heidi
did
brought
talk-
some of
oh,
that.
Heidi bought that?
Heidi talked to us at the last meeting about that, and she had said it was 10%.
Oh, that's right. I don't have the
Um,
notes in front of me, but I knew it was a
10%.
lot, right? Substantial
Well,
enough.
Yeah, I-
Tardy situation at the middle high school? Is it a significant?
Heidi had said 10.
It's a significant amount in any school I know of, or ever worked in.
Right, but so like define significant amount, like
10%.
10%.
Right, and yeah,
Okay.
that's what Heidi had said. And the interesting thing about that is Don Valentine, who is a part of our committee, he's a member of the committee, and he teaches at Chelsea High School, and they implemented this last year. He said that he doesn't feel that helped the Chelsea High School tardy issue. But other districts have said that yes, it has in fact. But he says no, the kids. But it's different. They rely on public transportation.
Or they walk, you said.
Or they
Right.
walk, right, so it is, very different from us, but,
For the test scores, someone was mentioning that in Nauset,
yeah, the Ds and Fs.
yeah,
By
that's
half,
amazing,
by half, yeah,
even if it's not Tardy's academic performance.
yeah. And they interviewed one of the athletes too, she was a female athlete, and she said that she just feels more prepared, for after school, for the practices and the games, and it doesn't feel like it, she said, yeah, we end up, being out later, but then I get an opportunity to sleep in the morning.
Yeah.
And with homework and everything, you have to add all this in, that,
And then the cycle
It
of
is gonna
staying
be
up
a-
late just because they're doing the homework and then, yeah.
right,
it's
but at
a
least they'll
cycle.
have that extra time in the morning, so, I just think it's definitely something worth researching and bringing to the community, just the health concerns, and also the fact that prior to the 70s, schools were starting later.
Yeah.
And
that was
it
interesting.
was, right, they said in the 70s, and then in the 80s, it really ramped up, that they followed suit, but it was more because they were working moms that were introduced in the 70s. So it actually helped them get their child off to school, and then they could go to work. So it really had nothing to do with the child. It was all about economy and, getting the people off to work. So this now is making a shift, and we're seeing, okay, the issue here is the children and what this is doing to them. 7:30 is early. It is early. And there's one school in Massachusetts that actually starts at 7:05, which, is, I can't even
That's
imagine. Yeah. So, we are meeting on the 21st, that's our next meeting, and hopefully you can attend.
I can come to that one.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. We'd love to have you there. And at that point in time, I think we should talk about setting up a parent forum. I do plan on being at the May 24th PTA general membership meeting, because Jill Shaw talked to her executive board, and they do want to partner with us, which I think is great, because that's another great way to get the information out. So I'll be at that meeting, and I am gonna ask Dr. Medwood also to attend, because I'm sure the, medical questions will come up. So we look forward to it, and again, I think that we have a great group of committee members that really, are looking for the betterment of the children's education.
So would we be
And we
looking
hope
to
to.
do that forum in April or May? Do you think?
Well,
Cause you're gonna talk to the.
I'm gonna talk to the PTA. I would love to do it in April, but then when I think of April and school vacation.
After vacation, you'd probably to do it.
That, yeah, I wonder if
Okay, well, we
there
can
could
take
be
a
a,
look.
if there could be a time prior to the PTA meeting, or even make it, maybe we could even
Make it part of the PTA.
make it part of that PTA meeting.
Oh,
You know, have May 24th.
Oh, I've got it as May 4th. Okay, yeah, I mean, you certainly could do that. They could do a blast and try to get parents of all ages, you know.
Right.
Cause the PTA meetings are, I don't know, generally they represent, elementary people are more represented than middle, high school.
And that is their final meeting of the school year, so I'll have to ask her if that's something that, you know, I certainly don't want to infringe on their time, talking
Right.
about their,
Right.
but if I'm meeting with her on May 24th, I do think a parent forum should occur in May.
Yeah, so I
It
think
seems a
we,
little
I think we're
redundant to
gonna
do.
probably have to plan it out so that cause we have the late start, I get that wrong.
I know,
Start
start
school later, and then we're probably, depending on what we decide to do with technology, we're gonna wanna have a meeting with parents around the technology initiative too.
So when
So
are
we
you
should
looking
just,
for that?
we'll just, I don't know, we'll just have to figure that out, right? So maybe we'll have something in April and something in May, so we can figure out in what order
Yeah.
we do them. Cause we're gonna come and, you know, be prepared to talk with you about technology. You know, I'm hoping the first the first meeting in April, so, you know, we can wait till May for that, or April, just depends on what we want our schedule to be.
Right,
Like if we're gonna talk about something for September, or we're gonna talk about something for December. So we'll have to keep you updated on that,
Right.
but we can
Okay.
schedule, I just know there's two things we wanna talk to parents about before the end of the year, so we'll just try to figure that out.
okay. And then maybe that will actually up your breakfast sales.
That would be so great.
Right.
Maybe.
Well,
Or grab and
yeah.
go breakfast idea.
Because it is, children, when you get up, they don't, that's the thing too, they're not ready to eat
Yeah, I
right
like to eat
away.
breakfast
does
later.
not eat
Have a
breakfast.
granola bar.
I guess the
Right.
cheese.
Really bad for you.
Right, and that's another
sugar.
thing, breakfast is,
All carbs.
you know.
And then they're starving at lunch, and then my lunches aren't big enough.
Lunches aren't big.
That's the real reason.
Yeah, don't even get us
Oh,
started.
no, I'm just kidding.
We don't wanna talk about the fact that the lunches aren't big enough and the,
They're too
Um,
nutritious.
and the tray of shame. What is that?
The sandwich of shame, yeah.
Sandwich of
Cheese
shame.
sandwich, yeah, the cheese sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. I talked to several people about that in other towns and they were-
Memorable.
Well, they knew right away. I said, I've never heard of it being referred to that. And they're like,
Yeah,
are
that
you
was new to
kidding?
me, too.
Yes, absolutely.
Never
But I
But it
think-
works, it's effective.
How
Yeah.
is
No, I
how
mean,
is-
it's not effective as a strategy,
How's
effective as a
breakfast?
as a
Memory,
name.
yeah.
As a name, it brings back all the memories, right?
Not to put you on the spot, but how is the deficit in the lunch?
Even, I'm sure you probably have noticed the emails that I've been sending out. No, maybe because you don't have balances.
I was
That's
gonna say
great.
they're not balanced.
Anyway, we've finally got our email system up and running, which is fantastic. It's been so much easier than the way we've been doing it, but it hasn't made a dent.
It has
Really?
not.
It hasn't
Even with
budged.
the new system
Tracy
of
is
payment?
beside herself.
Well,
Yeah,
we'll have to do
and
this.
even with the reminder emails.
We'll have to think about it.
Who is Tracy the individual?
She works with
that-
me in the office, yeah.
And she does she makes the calls?
She used to, or the emails, and she checks it every day. It's like her pet project.
Now, is it the parents who have to sign up to get emails saying when they have a balance?
We took the emails from Admin Plus.
That was why we went
So-
with that system, cause it
so they didn't-
lined with
Portal
Redditor.
allowed us to get emails for everybody, so we have an email for every parent,
Right, so
at
that,
least one.
well, because, and again, it's an isolated instance, but I had, somebody mentioned to me that, oh, I got a notice that I was $78.
In arrears?
Like I owed $78. Why didn't they tell me when I owed $20? And I wasn't sure if
that's why,
that was
'cause it's just
user
got up
error
and-
or,
I think the system just got really up and running.
Yeah.
okay, so.
And,
But I
and
did
we
mention-
had so many
They should've
balances.
known. I mean, really? Like,
But I did mention
It's-
that
it's
to Heather,
always
I think
someone
she
else's.
followed
Oh,
up
well,
with that particular person,
I'll
Cheryl.
own it.
Oh, okay.
I mentioned that to her and she
Okay.
followed up.
I really wish there was some way that we could figure out how to, because that's a lot of money.
Yeah, we'll figure it, we're gonna put our
Probably
heads
a way.
together, we'll have to think more about it.
I think you need to put Joanne Sherman on it.
Help us out.
Well, sometimes you get to a point where your balance is so big, so it's like, at what point do you say, all right, you know, we're starting
Stop.
fresh here,
Yeah.
you know?
I don't know.
Cause see, at the end of the year, you know, as you know, we have to have that balance, that Heather can't carry that balance, so we have to come up, if she's in deficit, we have to find the money in the budget.
Right, to cover
And
that.
that's a problem when our budgets are as tight as they are. Maybe what we have to do is start at a point and say, now like Margaret's group has done, is, okay, so now we have to just make it very clear, you know, that you just can't build those big balances up.
And a lot of districts do that. I just would need your support if we were to implement that.
Well, we'll just talk about what that could look like, and we can come back.
On another day.
Did you go to the Foxborough, the event this week?
I didn't know. It was actually intended for school board members and administrators.
I thought it was food service director.
Well, that she probably would
I
have
would
gone
have
with us.
gone if,
Yeah, it wasn't
It wasn't
set up
intended for
them.
directors,
Yeah.
yeah.
I would have loved to,
Timing.
have attended, but just the whole, that was on Tuesday and it was
Yeah.
a tough
Yeah.
day
Yeah.
Just,
with
yeah.
things, but it's,
Maybe next year.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely, I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's important to stay involved with that part of the organization.
Yeah. So Heather, I'm glad that Health and Wellness is, interested in
Definitely.
participating in
Thank you.
in the committee, and I loved having Margaret there as well, because as we talked about, your school is certainly gonna be impacted, and we want you to be as updated as possible with parents asking you questions and things like that, so, so I appreciate that.
Happy to be here.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out tonight too and helping us out.
Great, thank you, Heather.
Okay, I think that was the
Might be
last
it.
thing on our
We might have
agenda.
done it.
It is. I'd love to see that our audience stayed till the last.
Well, it's because we put the item that affected them at the end.
We do that more often. Okay, so at this point in time, I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:50 PM. There is no, need for executive session this evening, so I would need a second,
Second.
or a so
No,
moved.
I so moved second. Oh
Great.
my God.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great, thank you, have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.